and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Dota players around the world, we are here at the Mega 8 Studios bringing you live on the B Stream the two games, the two series that are happening this evening. I am Jabba, joined by Scarpy. Tell me, how do you feel about these games?
Oh man, first of all, I'm so happy to be here. I mean, it's a beautiful studio. It's been put together really well by Mega 8. And of course, we're going to have the #1 stream, so make sure everyone's tuned in. This game, this first up game, very interesting. I think one of the better matchups.
I'm
BVD.
super excited about what's about to happen. BVD versus Sin 5. Wow.
Yeah, a bit of a grudge match actually. Sinister 5 managed 2-0 BVD, and BVD coming into qualifications for this tournament 1-0 Sinister 5. So there's a little bit of a tussle here as to who can take who. So Sinister 5 definitely the least favorites to win, but they definitely got the potential. They got all the talent. It's just a question of whether they can pull it off again.
100%. Well, I'm super scared to see BVD because we have not seen them of late, because the team of BVD has changed up. They haven't actually been having a lot of community matches and being able to actually see what they've got in the pool, what they draft, what they play. So I'm really interested to see how they're actually going to draft and how they're going to actually play.
Absolutely, I can't agree with you anymore. I mean, these guys have been together for a long time. They've been under several different brands, but the players themselves are quite close-knit. I don't think they've had a change for quite a while, almost a year now, so maybe even more than that. So they definitely know each other very well. On the same page as Sinister 5. They're a franchise that's come together. They really putting a lot of effort into their Dota. They even have a coach, I do believe. And I'm really keen to see how they proceed through this tournament.
It is going to be really interesting. I wish we both wish the best for both of the teams. It is going to be one of the first games of the event, and it is going to be BVD versus Sin 5. We are controlling the B stream. We've got the cool stream, guys. We've got where all the games are going to be happening, all the fun games that are going to be happening. If you do want to catch, the main stream is actually live at the moment. And for those of you that don't know, the main stream will actually be aired on SuperSport DSTV this evening. So if you have a DSTV, sit in front of the TV, catch the main stream, but the action's going to happen here. It's going to be happening on the B stream. We have got Sin 5 versus Bravado Gaming, and the draft has begun, and Legion Commander back at it.
Yeah, of course. I think it's a staple ban for most teams, still trying to find their footing in this patch, and Legion Commander seem to be very successful. We've seen quite good results coming out from them. So we'll see how that manages to pan out.
Well, we do have the Night Stalker being banned out now. Previously, because of the new update, the way things have changed, and a lot of the meta's changed quite a bit. We've now got the Legion Commander being banned out. We've got the Warlock, which has now also just been banned out. Night Stalker, not one of the favorite ban-outs, but obviously Bravado not wanting to go up against the gankable Roma Night Stalker. Yeah,
I think the Night Stalker is pretty. It's pretty cute. I like it a lot. The ability to fly at night is really useful. The vision game has definitely been something that a lot of teams have considered. I mean, the Keeper of the Light constantly being banned out as well. Warlock, another staple ban. Darkseer, I mean, the previous tournament it was picked up a lot, but it had really poor results. But again, each tournament sort of creates its own meta, and the Mega 8, I'm sure a lot of these people have had a lot of extra time to really look at the patch, how they really want to play around it. So interesting to see him get banned on out, but not really a surprise seeing how he has been a highly contested hero.
Well, a first pick is out for Sin 5. They pick up the Shadow Shaman. Now, obviously, there's a lot of first picks that could be really big potentials. I mean, the Treant's still in the pool, opting to not go for that. Not revealing any of their core heroes. Decided to pick up the Shadow Shaman. He has received a little bit of a buff, necessary to be first pick.
Yeah. Another thing I would like to add on to that, Sinister 5, it really suits their playstyle. They've been playing very sort of hyper-aggressive lanes and into a strong push. So it really suits their playstyle currently in this patch, or from the previous patch, and they're probably looking to carry that over. So I like the Shadow Shaman a lot. One of the heroes that hit really hard in lane as a support hero. He has a very big presence between early game and even into the late game, because of course those wards are extremely difficult to deal with if placed well.
Do you think picking up the Shadow Shaman kind of reveals that you want to do a little bit of a push strat, and Bravado needs to cancel that somehow? Maybe the Kotl comes into play. Oh, well, there we go. The Kotl does get picked up, so maybe trying to avoid that. They do pick up the Sand King, not one of those big heroes that we've seen of late. Obviously trying to prioritize their offlane a little bit here.
Yeah. This is a very good identification coming out from Bravado. We must keep in mind that these two teams have played up against each other quite a lot, so they know what Sinister might be thinking, what their process is here. So the Sand King, pretty strong. Could be played in the position 4, but seeing that there's a Keeper of the Light, that's highly unlikely. More than likely going to be 2-5's hero. But it's also very strong in lane. Of course, Caustic Finale is going to help clear out these waves, make sure that the Shadow Shaman is not going to get close to the tower, as well as the long-range initiation that the Sand King does bring to the table. So I like it. We haven't seen much of it, so I'm very intrigued to see how it is going to transition in this game.
Well, could we assume that Sand King is going to build into Arcane, Blink, and then Ags, or do you think he's going to maybe go for more support items first, or do you think he's going to go that greedy Ags build to increase that Burrow strike range?
I think Ags is still good, but I think a lot of players are looking to go Eels or something of that sort. Again, I'm not too certain how he fits in this patch or how he fits into Bravado's draft. They could even be running him as a support with a very greedy position 5, Keeper of the Light. So it could be an extremely greedy draft coming at you from Bravado, or it could just be like I anticipate. But the Ag's still pretty good. It helps with that long-range initiation, as I spoke about. And synergizes pretty well with Keeper of the Light, setting up those Illuminates pretty well.
Well, I mean, it was kind of expected that Bravado would have actually picked up the Kotl. Night Stalker banned out. Now, Keeper of the Light during the daytime has amazing range when in ulti form. Once it picks up the Ags, it just becomes an absolute. You can't gank this dude, and it just becomes absolutely terrifying for any team trying to get a gank onto the Keeper of the Light. Banning out the Night Stalker, do you think Sinister should have actually picked it up, or do you think they were willing to actually allow the Kotl into the draft?
I think Sinister 5, they know they're going up into an unfavorable matchup in a sense. Going into Bravado, I mean, it's a big name. It's a new roster, but this is a very strong roster. We've seen them be very successful. So I think Sinister 5 have already written down on paper, this is how we want to play against Bravado. They're not going to sort of like, oh, they banned out Night Stalker, we better pick up the Keeper of the Light. I think they're just going to stick to their game plan. And just try and execute. That is how they beat Bravado before, so it's hopefully going to be the way that they beat them here again.
All right, well, Clockwork was the next pickup for Sin 5. I mean, we've seen some success, some failure with the Clockwork, and I mean, trying to make it work into their draft so far. They've now also picked up the Bristleback. A team ran the Bristleback IO combination. Could we maybe see the IO pop up here for Sin 5 before we discuss how the rest of the draft is panning out here for Sinister 5?
It's one of those things in the South African meta that there's not too many IO players, in a sense. Rock Lee is an IO player. I think there's one or two others. I'm not too certain about Sinister 5. I know Repo and Traxian, Traxian, sorry, is playing offlane now. So Gerald, I think if anyone's going to play IO, more than likely is going to be Gerald. As Repo, he usually plays very hyper-aggressive supports. So I'm interested to see whether or not they do go for that, but it might be unlikely unless they have practiced it. That would be pretty nice. Very interesting pickup there from Bravado going for the Razor. Razor is really, really strong. We've seen Evil Geniuses make massive use of that.
Well, I know you were talking about it in the international scene. Razor is an absolutely devastating hero to actually deal with. He just starts leeching your damage away, and then you can't actually deal with him. But Bravado picking up the Rubik into the Razor for the side of Sin 5, going into the Death Prophet. Now, I mean, this is quite a bit of team fight that Sin 5's now actually brought to the table. Death Prophet, Exorcism, it is a huge amount of team fight for the side of BVD. You've got the Razor field, as well as maybe the Keepers Illuminate. Epicenter, if it comes off, going to be difficult with the clock on the field as well as the Shaman.
Yeah, I can agree. Nice ban coming out from Bravado, just in case Sinister 5 have been practicing that IO. Another thing from Sinister 5, they got very strong team fight. Their laning is going to be quite interesting. They got potentially a Bristleback mid, potentially a Death Prophet mid. Position 1 Bristleback is still very, very strong. A lot of people underestimate what he can really bring to the table. Of course, as a hero in the off lane, the more heroes that he deals with, the more strength he has. So really, by putting him in the safe lane and saying, okay, Bravado can't dual lane us, in a sense, because the dual lane will just be too strong. That allows a lot of space for the supports to roam. And, I mean, we could even be seeing a support clock. I do doubt it. Okay, there we go. Omni Knight does come through. So it's a really strong lineup from Sinister 5.
How scary would it be if BVD actually pick up a Magnus here? Or do you think that put Razor in the safe lane? I'm theory crafting here, of course. Razor in the safe lane, Magnus in the mid, Keeper of Light in the bottom, just feeding Razor, and then Rubik and Sand King in the off lane could really hurt the side of Sin 5.
Potentially, but one of the things, again, running the dual lane into Bristleback is very scary, especially if he's going to have an Omni Knight on his back. Then the Shadow Shaman's free to roam, and you're still going to win that dual lane. So I think one of the things is they might just want to sack the Sand King, let him try get whatever XP he can, potentially find some jungle in the farm here and there. Of course, it stacks every 1 minute in the camps. So if he can just stack for himself, he can just easily get a decent amount of farm a little bit later on into the game, as long as he doesn't die too much. And 225 is definitely one of the best offlaners in South Africa. And so he should have a very good idea of how to play around this.
Well, it looks like they're trying to pick up the RDK hero. What can we expect? Oh, hang on.
It's RDK Razor.
RDK Razor, so it's going to be the Razor safe lane.
Yep.
Quap in the mid. How do you feel about that going up against the Omni Knight? Now, the Scream is pure damage, so going to be able to deal with that repel from the side of Sin 5 on the Omni Knight. How do you feel about the draft so far as we go into the game?
It's going to heavily depend on if the Queen of Pain does go for Ags. I think the matchup's not too bad. Queen of Pain does well against Death Prophet. The last hitting battle is sort of favorable towards Queen of Pain. However, Death Prophet is still a difficult character to deal with. So the Queen of Pain is going to have that extra mobility to make sure that he's able to stay alive. And it's a pretty... I think it's going to be a farm fest really in mid. And I don't think, unless some solid rotations come out, which I think Sinister 5 will have that option available to them due to the fact that their dual lane is so strong already. The Shadow Shaman can just appear in lane, and Clockwork is more than willing to be left to his own devices in his off lane.
Who do you feel has actually won the draft here?
I think it's difficult to say. I do like Sinister 5. They clearly have come in here with an idea. Bravado, I like the Razor. I think the Razor is very strong in this meta, but I'll take Sinister 5 on this one, at least in the drafting stages.
Look, the Clockwork just does so much for the team. It's got such good engage. Got a way for the team to actually engage into the side of BVD. And as soon as that happens, then the rest of BVD actually then decides to actually get back into it. And they force the rest of the team to fight under Exorcism, which will then become the problem. So I can agree, but you can never underestimate the strength of the teams that we're going up against here. So it's going to be really interesting. It's first game of the evening. I am super excited. Predictions?
I still think BVD will take this 2-0, even though I said Sinister 5 have the stronger draft. They're just the favorite heroes, so I mean a favorite team. So by all means, I have to sort of back them in that sense. But Sinister 5 have the ability to take a game off here. I know it sounds a bit of a wishy-washy answer, but 2-0 to Bravado.
2-0 to Bravado. Well, there you have it. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, and Dota players around the world, get ready for the first game of the first series of the Mega 8. It is going to be BVD versus Sin 5. Playing on the side of the Radiant will be the side of BVD. We got RDK going to be playing our Razor in the mid lane. We have got Impact playing the Rubik. Unbelievable Rubik in the past that I've seen. Soda on our Queen of Pain. And last but not least, going to be Mikasa on the Flirty Kotl, as well as 2-5 on the SK. For the side of the Dire, going to be playing Sin 5. Please do the introductions.
Sure. Clockwork is going to be played up here by Gerald. Reaper going to be playing over on the Shadow Shaman. Fearbender going to be playing on that Death Prophet. Traxian over on the Omni Knights. And last but not least, Nubby going to be playing on that Bristleback. So here's an interesting thing. I think this might actually be a core Omni Knight and a support Clockwork. As Traxian, he has been their staple offlaner, and it seems like they're looking to go aggressive and leave Nubby in here to his own devices in a 1v1 lane. So very interesting from Sinister 5 how they're looking to deal with this laning stages.
Well, the game is about to get underway. 2 seconds past the Horn of Gondor. Let's go, and Dota.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be interesting. This is one of the laning stages I'm very intrigued about, seeing that they did go for the support Clockwork. Seems like they're actually going to try lane top. So you were right, they did go for a dual lane. So this could easily be punished potentially by Sinister 5, just with a good sort of movements, as Shadow Shaman and Clockwork are looking to head in that direction. So Cogs up, so all they need to do is shackle, place Cogs, and Bristleback deal as much damage as possible.
All right, well, I'm going to keep our camera on the mid lane for the moment. Let's see how the mid fares. How should the matchup in the mid actually pan out? Quap versus the Death Prophet.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of a farm fest. I think Death Prophet will have a tougher time, but I think the skill level between these two players is pretty equal. Queen of Pain does have a better animation for the early stages, but once the Crypt Storm does come out online, that's going to help Fearbender catch up a little bit in that sense.
All right, well, it is going to be one of those interesting games. Now, I mean, Nabi, I think having the core Bristleback, how do you feel about it? I mean, we've got a hard-hitting Razor going to be farming in the bot lane. That can the Bristleback actually get things done? Can the Bristleback pull it for his team?
Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, Bristleback, a lot of people consider as an off-laner, but not necessarily. He's going to be in that position 1. I think it's going to be essential for him to get a good laning stage, a good start, because if the rotations come out very quickly, a Razor can be online very, very quick, just with the static link, as that's just huge amounts of physical damage that does come out in the early stages. And Keeper of the Light, one of those heroes that can do with extra space, as we can see him trying to steal this pool here. So actually interesting, BVD did pull their camp. This is going to create a little bit of trouble for Nabi in a sense. Actually, top lane looks like there might be some trouble. Reaper taking a lot of damage. Whoa.
Yeah, he got caught right between the creeps. He couldn't actually get out of there very easily. And 2-5, just right-clicking him down a little bit. Not enough to bring him down, but just enough to actually put a little bit of pressure on there. In the mid lane, though, it looks like Soda taking a little bit of harassment to actually solve up against the onslaught here of Fearbender. And so far, no first bloods just yet in the mid lane. We do actually have Fearbender leading the last hits at the moment.
Yeah, he's managed to get 2 levels up in his Crypt Storm. You'll see him start to catch up a lot quicker here. The Queen of Pain had a decent start up against him, but all of a sudden you'll see that he'll slowly find a decent lead. Soda already went pretty low down. I think he actually had to use a solve to bring himself back. But yeah, it seems like the mid lane should be favoring the DP now, especially if a couple of good stacks come out. The Queen of Pain could fall behind, but it's one of those heroes who too can manage to find farm very quickly into the laning stages.
Well, I mean, you've got that terrifying team fight potential coming out from the side of BVD. You've got the Scream, you've got the Epi, you've got the Illuminate. It's going to be really hard for the side of Sin 5 to actually control that. What happens to the point when you start picking up Blade Mails on your clock, Blade Mails on your Bristleback? I mean, that could really devastate the side of BVD.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. I think a Blade Mail on the Clockwork is more than likely going to be what he is looking for, but then again, he is playing on that position 4, semi-5, so his farm is going to be very slow, so that Blade Mail timing is not really going to be a spike point for him anymore. It's just going to be sort of useful. So we might even see him opt to go for a Force Staff after he gets the Tranquils, as Force Staff on Clockwork's always very useful. The most important thing, I think, for Sinister 5 is getting level 6 on Clockwork. It's going to be essential for them. They need successful pulls, they need their laning stage, and maybe a couple of potential kills. So I think they're going to wait until the Bristleback manages. He's still got a Mango, so once he gets level 2 in Quill Sprays, they're going to look to try and get some stacks up on either the Sand King or the Keeper of the Light and see if they can potentially find a kill there. But we must keep in mind, both of them do have actually only one wand, so no wand on 225. That is something that they could potentially punish.
Well, I mean, going up against a Bristleback, it's almost an essential core item you need. I mean, you go up against a Bristleback, any spellcaster, you're like, okay, insta-buy, wand, and it helps you. It keeps you out of it. It's got good stats. And when those last right clicks do come in to take you down, pop your one and you actually survive. So, I mean, can Sin 5 actually look around and actually punish it? I mean, he hasn't opted to go for a point in level Sandstorm, so he doesn't even have an escape at this point in time. It's going to really rely on Mikasa to kind of generate that space for him.
Yeah, one of the things, it's always scary to dive into a lane where there is a Keeper of the Light, because if he works out his Illuminate It's a decent amount of damage. It's 200 damage, which is quite severe, especially for a level 1 spell. So they always have that fear. The fact that Sand King could make a trade. He's got Caustic Finale, he's got his stun. That's going to help him with mobility and potentially damage output. So it's always one of those. It's going to have to be very calculated by them, but they need successful movements now. They need to either shut down 225 or sort of say, okay, Bristleback, you're going to have to survive a little bit now, and we secure a kill mid, or potentially even in the safe lane.
Well, I mean, we've got. I've got a little bit of a more interesting strategy that's happening here now. Traxian is going to go up against solo against RDK. It's going to pretty much allow RDK to get the farm that he has, and we know what kind of monster RDK gets when he's got a little bit of space created. I don't see Traxian being able to contest at all, and RDK is pretty much going to have a free lane pretty much.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I think this is not easy for an Omni Knight. He's going to walk forward and potentially just get static linked, and then he can't really last it. We can already see 45 stacked up for the Razor, which is going to mean he's just really can't run at him. Physical damage is just a major problem, and static link it does go through spell immunity, so even if he does have a point or a repulse, it's not going to make much of a difference there. We can already see the Omni Knights actually saved a point just for in case he does need repel when a gank comes around, but he more than likely wants a bit of points into Dejin Aura just to help him sort of either run at RDK or a support in that lane, or help him escape.
Well, I mean, even with the 1v1 matchup bot, you know what that does now for Impact? He's just picked up a Haste Druid. He's going to be able to try and assist out mid, potentially try and get a pick. And beautifully stacking camps. Something that we haven't seen often with our teams is to actually stack camps, which is actually getting done now. So it's something that we like to see.
Yep.
Efficiency in the jungle, efficiency from the supports, and already RDK just draining out as much damage as he can out of the Omni Knight. So, I mean, we're at the situation here now. We've just come out of the pause. So for those of you that are joining us on the stream, welcome. I hope you guys do enjoy your stay with us. We do have the main stream taking place at the moment, WRG versus Mythic Gaming. But this is where the action is, guys. This is where it is going to be the exciting game, BVD versus Sin 5.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is probably the better matchup. The stacking of camps is going to be absolutely essential. A little bit of an error coming out from Impact. The creep do de-aggro if you come out of vision, so you didn't actually get that stack because of the haste. But it's not the end of the world. The intent was there. So it's all right. I mean, the Queen of Pain would have liked that. It's an easy catch-up for him, seeing that he's not exactly ahead in the mid lane, but he's not severely far behind that it's unfixable. So he should be fine. He's also got good wave clear when necessary.
Well, in the top lane, Reaper, it looks like he's trying to get aggressive. He does have 1 point into Shackles, 2 points into Ether Shock. So that kind of shows me that they want to play aggressive. They want to get those kills. They want to get that top lane dead and buried pretty much.
Absolutely, and that should be their plan here. They should definitely be looking to play aggressively. A pool coming through here for them again, so this is potentially an opportunity if Mikasa or 225 do overextend. But both of them are very experienced players. They don't often make too many mistakes, so it's not going to be an easy sort of attempt for them.
No, by no means it's going to be very easy for them to take it down. The game has pretty much started out. We're almost 5 minutes into the first game.
Top lane, sorry.
And it looks like we don't have a first blood just yet. It was very close. 225 actually juking through the trees there, having a little bit of a burrow strike out of there. Instantly gets manned up and back to the lane it's going to go. We haven't seen first blood just yet. Teams may be sussing each other out. It is a best of 3, so they don't have to really put a lot of things on the line just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just it seems that both teams are okay with playing it safe. They both just want to sort of secure that early stage farm and then potentially look to play aggressively. This dual lane is getting what they want done, so 225 and Mikasa, they'll be happy with what the outcome so far. Even though the Omni Knight's sort of keeping up with CS, he's not doing too bad of a job, his tracks in. But I think both teams are happy with this. I'm not too sure what kind of execution Sinister 5 are looking for now, if they, as their supports have had unsuccessful rotations. So the Clockwork's still level 3. He wants to try and get those levels up as fast as possible, because his level 6 could make a very big influential change to this game.
No, absolutely. Looking at the top of the screen here, you can already see the net worth advantage. BVD just ahead by, it's hovering around the the 100 and 200 mark, very close in it. Illuminate comes in, just trying to keep the creeps under the tower. Now, does it work out better for BVD to keep those creeps under the tier 1 tower?
Yeah, it's very very hard last hitting for a Bristleback. It also means he's going to consume a lot of mana under the tower because he's going to need that to secure a couple of last hits. So as long as they know his mana is low, it's very good for them. They know he's not going to be able to run at them and make too much of a difference there.
Well, in the bot lane, we do have Gerald. He has actually smoked up RDK, going to try and steal out as much damage as he can from Traxian. He's going to get Battery Assaulted up. Can RDK get away? He can't. The cogs are there. Mikasa, Impact trying to come help RDK. Can he make it out? One more right click coming out from Sin5. Can he bring it down? The field comes out, slowing them down. And Gerald, Traxian, can they find the last hit? Juking through the trees. And Soda, he rocks up to the party. The heal is not there. The ulti from RDK has actually popped out, trying to get it to work. The flares come out, not bringing down RDK. Traxian salves up, running back to the safety of his tier 1 tower, and he's going to get out. So getting the rotation from Soda, not picking up that kill, but still not bringing down RDK. Even with the smoke used in the mid lane, Fearbender using out the exorcism, going to try and push down this tier 1 as quick as he can. But Quap and Impact, they are going to be looking to stop that pretty soon.
Yeah, that was a very good movement from Sinister 5. They managed to put a lot of pressure onto RDK. He's forced out of lane. He's got to walk, do the walk of shame. And at the same time, the Death Prophets managed to find a lot. Now they're looking to make a rotation on him, but it's not going to be an easy kill by any means. He's got 4 points up in Siphon. If they overextend here, they could potentially fall very quickly.
Well, I mean, that 4 points in Siphon is absolutely devastating to work with. So much lifesteal that you can just actually survive and tank quite a bit. They did get another rotation in Yamikasa popping up into the mid lane. They did manage to take down the tier 1. So far, a win for Sin5.
Yeah, definitely. Sinister 5 will be more than happy with that rotation. The fact that the Queen of Pain had to go there and it wasn't successful, he didn't manage to find a kill. The fact that the Razor's not farming for this extended period of time and the Bristleback is still in lane and 225 is left alone, he's also not going to be able to find farm under the situation. That was probably the best sort of outcome considering that they didn't find a kill for Sinister 5.
Yeah, and I mean, they forced out the body rotation with Soda. They brought Mikasa into the mid, losing tier 1. So far, things looking pretty good for Sin5. Small plays, but definitely making a little bit of an impact here.
Yeah. Also, the fact that the Death Prophet managed to get the last hit on that tower is pretty big. Means he's going to have a significant gold lead early on. So that's pretty good for him. He's actually significantly far ahead. Almost a K ahead of the Queen of Pain. And this early on, that's really, really good for him.
Well, taking a look at the net worths at the moment, Death Prophet sitting at 3.9k, our Bristleback sitting at 3.2, as well as Soda on the mid sitting at around about 3.1 as well, and RDK sitting at 2.8. Now, this is generally we see a more farmed RDK, generally.
Yeah, so it's usually the role that he plays, but he seemed to have sort of switched up from that. Ooh, bot lane. Gerald, he's in trouble here.
He's just going to TP himself out, and no pressure just yet. Can they actually get the telekinesis up? Impact can't find him, was cogged out, and they couldn't cancel the TP. He gets himself out of there. And still, the side of this game, 9 minutes in, 0-0, pretty much going toe-to-toe. I know in the beginning you said that both these teams show quite a bit of respect for one another. The one team beat the other and has now drawn it up. This is kind of like going back to a little bit of a grudge match.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely a grudge match at that. I think Gerald, he could have definitely died there, but he placed a good cog block there in the tree line to make sure no one was able to catch him out. So that's pretty good for him. At the same time, I mean, RDK, he's a little bit far behind. We can see he's going for a Hand of Midas, which is received a lot of criticism. It's very expensive now. We'll see if it pays off. It's still not too bad. I think it's received more criticism than it deserves. But bot lane, very aggressive.
Impact tries to get the telekinesis over to Gerald. Not going to be good enough. Drops the cog. Fearbender signs out the deal. Crip swarms him to death. And now Exorcism going to be used out, trying to take down this tier 2. Tier 1 here in the bot lane, and just a little bit of these players trying to get a little bit frisky. Fearbender diving quite far under the tier 1. Mikasa taking a little bit of damage there. Does this call for the side of Sin5 to actually back out with Exorcism available?
Yeah, a lot of rotations came in, and that was definitely scouted out. Realizing the lanes are empty, they'll be more than happy with that trade. They forced out a lot of rotations once again, freed up the lane for Nubby, and I think success. Ooh.
Gerald, he actually sticks around. 2 to 5, spots him out, gets the stuns off. The cogs are down. The telekinesis is used out. Static link for RDK. Gets healed up here from Drexen. He stays alive. He stays alive. They use the Guardian as well, and they don't bring down Gerald.
Man, Sinister 5, they're looking really, really good here. Tier 1 tower in the top under threat now. The Serpent Wards have been dropped. They just really finding the good, really good timings here. As soon as the Death Prophet was online, he made a great rotation, successful one at that, but a decent amount of chip damage onto the Tier 1 tower. And by forcing out all those rotations, they lost another one to the Serpent Ward. So definitely the execution is paying off very well here for Sinister 5, even considering that there's only been one kill at about the 11-minute mark, which is, well, unlikely or not the usual for this patch, I feel.
No, I mean, generally we see BVD in a lot of a more stronger position. 11 minutes in, sitting in favor of Sin 5 in terms of net worth, sitting with 2.9k advantage across the team. Team's doing really well, although Soda coming back online slowly, trying to chase down Fearbender on that DP.
Yeah, so if they can shut down Fearbender, it'll be great, but he's got an invis... ooh, smoke's going to be popped. This is big trouble here for RDK, gets caught out. And the silence going to be there, and that will be a quick kill for them. Reaper managed to find that kill for himself. So really, really good work, and this is major punishment towards the Razor, as he is going for that Hand of Midas still, which is might just cost them quite heavily. Oh,
Mikasa going to be able to get out by the skin of his teeth. And like we said, I mean, picking up the Shadow Shaman, this is the kind of play that you need to happen. You need to be aggressive. You need to get those rotations, get those early kills, and that's exactly what Sinister 5 is doing. They put in the kills on the board, and they're taking objectives.
This is a far more structured team than I'm used to seeing from them. They have clearly very good shot calling here. They know exactly, all right, this is the timings. We've hit level 6 on this hero, let's go. We've hit level 6 on this hero, let's force rotation so we can take a tier 1 tower. And this is a great time for us to group up as 5. And it's just been success coming at you from Sinister 5. So looking to be in a good position. It's really Bravado who've got a lot of work set out for them. I mean, still looking for a Hand of Midas as RDK. That is, I think, very detrimental. I mean, it might help him catch up a little bit later on, but will there be a late game if they continue like this?
I mean, that begs the question. I mean, he's still going for it. He's about 50 gold short. I mean, do you think at this point in time you say, right, call it quits? I mean, it is 13 minutes into the game. Maybe go for a little bit of a different build. And if it was a different build, what would he build into?
Well, I think you just want to go stats. Well, he's completed the Hand of Midas now, so there's no going back. But I think like he's going for phase boots now, and then he's probably going to go into Dragon Lance, and then some sort of stats items, either Sanjin Yasha or potentially just Mansa style or something of that sort. So I don't know. It's odd that he opted to go so deep for this Hand of Midas, but let's see if it pays off.
Well, that's one thing we can do. They've dropped this Serpent Wards in the mid lane, trying to chip away at the tier 2. Mikasa is going to be able to throw back the Illuminate. 2 to 5, tries to get in there, doesn't complete his epicenter though, gets cogged or stunned out from Gerald. Another Illuminate comes through. Nabi takes a huge amount of damage, but can they right click him down? RDK's in the backlines, trying to sidestep them, but he's now being focused on we do have the Soda jumping in, does eventually bring down Traxian. RDK does go down, the Exorcism is popped out. Soda trying to juke in the trees, they can't close the gap. And does Mikasa have anything to actually slow them down? Beautiful blinding light coming out from Mikasa, throwing Gerald down, and Impact with that Fade Bolt, taking him down to Chinatown, as Soda actually jumped on the high ground just to make sure that he got the kill.
Yeah, I think that was really good defense coming out from BVD, but still, since the 5 they got the front foot, maybe just making a couple of mistakes there, not having a ward to scat at that's Sanking, maybe a bit of an overextension by them. I'm sure there's a lot more that we can really criticize from that, but I mean, still they have a very good forward-moving charge now. I don't think they should give up on that, and it's been a common mistake I've seen in a lot of teams. As soon as they take a tumble in a team fight like this, they say, oh, okay, well, we lost the fight, let's go back to farming and allow the opponents to catch up. And considering that RDK went for a Hand of Midas, might not be the right thing to do, yeah.
Well, I mean, after that fight, the networks kind of went back in favor of BVD just a tad. They now, Sin 5's only sitting with a 1.5k advantage. Not as much as what they were sitting a little bit earlier. So a little bit of a swings and roundabouts pretty much. I mean, this is what the graph looks at the moment. Things went quite well for Sin 5 in the early parts of the game, and still kind of teetering towards their counterpart.
Oh.
But we do have a hook shot here in the mid. Is it going to take place? They're trying to get the Siphon off onto Mikasa. Not going to happen. Telekinesis trying to control our Gerald. They drop the snakes again. This is almost a guaranteed tier 2. They're going to actually force out glyphs here. They know that Sin 5 is not going to be trying to push high ground if they do use the snakes. And can they actually get the deny? No, they can't. RDK is just going to farm up the snakes for the moment. And Midas is out of the wagon as well.
Yeah, surprised that he wasn't using his Serpent Wards to deny his own Serpent Wards while the glyph was up there, maybe saying that he can review. But it was pretty good. They found another objective, so more success for them. So that's going to help them in that net worth difference between themselves and Bravado, and still sticking to their plan. At the same time, I mean, the side of BVD are farming. They realize, okay, listen, we're going to lose a couple of objectives here. We are behind. Let's maybe try and create a little bit of space. The Queen of Pain is farming deep in the enemy's jungle. Now he's maybe looking for a rotation towards mid. Oh, actually, Traxian, he walks underneath the sentry. He actually is right click, so they're going to know. He knows that they can see him.
Traxian still not wanting to pop out of Invis. Just want to probably maybe check where the boundary is. It is here, my friend Traxian. He's going to be Invis. He's going to manage to pop out a little bit of damage here onto Soda. He's going to try and take down the tower. Not going to happen. They're going to probably be able to deny it. And BVD denied a tier 1 tower. That is definitely going to hurt them in terms of the gold.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting that deny out's really good. They were bound to lose a tower eventually. They've lost a tier 1 top as well, but they knew that if they can get that deny off, that's just going to give them more motivation to go and push down another lane, just to make sure that the net worth lead stays where it is. So Nabi, he's doing pretty well. He's got his Vanguard. He's also looking to get up some magic resistance. Once that's online, he is going to be a very, very difficult hero to deal with. And Exorcism used now for a tier 2 tower.
I mean, absolutely beautiful play. I mean, you've got the push potential from the Exorcism. You've got the push potential from the wards. I mean, constantly, the side of BVD are always on the back foot, always trying to defend. All they've got is the Illuminate, as well as the coil from RDK. Is it enough to actually slow them down? And apparently it's not. They've put on quite a bit of chip damage here onto this tier 2, sitting with just under 700k HP. Nabi trying to tank out the tower, take the aggro away. But it looks like the side of BVD are able to actually hold it back. 2-5 jumps in, gets silenced out immediately. Hook shot on the back lines. Managed to find impact. They're going to telekinesis him out, and they're going to try and turn their attentions to the clock. And Gerald, he's going to actually pay with his life. Just kind of making sure that Sin 5 gets out and not follow up that devastating stun in there from the SK.
Yeah, now that the SK has Blink Dagger up, he's a far more scary hero to deal with. His ability, like I said in the draft, to have those long-range initiations out of your sight is a big concern, because they do lack sort of the vision game. Once the Keeper of the Light gets Ags online, it's going to be a very big uphill climb for Sinister 5 at that stage, as they're more than likely going to follow that up with the gem. But a smoke play coming out here from Sinister 5. They're going to see if they can catch it. Any sort of stragglers. They do have a very deep ward, so they have a decent idea of what's going on.
They may find 2-5. They may want to try and find something else. And he makes his way to the top lane. So now Sin 5 trying to rotate to the top. Going to try and chase him down. He is hiding over here. They do try and make the rotations. Going to show himself in lane. Is the smoke still available for the side? How much longer do they have? A couple of seconds, and then they've got to make a decision. 2-5, he's sitting as a straggler. Gets spotted out, he immediately blinks. Tries to TP out. Can he get out? Oh, the user's there! 2-5 is in a big, serious amount of trouble. Yeah, does have Burrow Strike. Can he get out? He's going to try and juke through the trees. But Reaper's there to save the day. Chickened out, Ether shocked out, and 2-5 can't escape from the onslaught of Sin 5.
Yeah, Reaper definitely saving the day there. Unfortunately, just missing the silence timing there from the Death Prophet. Well, he would have secured that kill for himself, but Reaper making sure that there was no way that the Sand King could get out. So saving the day, absolutely. So they're actually going to set up a bit of defense here in the bot lane while they look for maybe a bit of a trade. I think Bravado might need to go back, but
they do have a jump here, and Traxian pops out the rappel, using Guardian as well. They do get the cogs out onto Mikasa. He's going to push him back. He's going to take an Illuminate here to the face. They try and stun out Traxian. They get the kill on him. The Illuminate coming through, giving vision to where Gerald is. And they may actually bring him down in the meantimes. In the backlines, they do have a little fight here under the shrine. Nabi trying to get some work done. 2-5 gets the stun off. There's the epicenter running straight into the center of it with a blinding light. RDK taking a little bit of damage there from those Quill Spray stacks. And triple kill going in favor of Soda and the boys at PVD.
Yeah, one of the biggest things there is that Impact managed to steal himself Guardian Angel. That meant there was no damage output coming out from the Bristleback. They did lose a tier 2 tower. Wards were dropped. I think Exorcism was also dropped there. So they made a trade in a sense, but a poor trade, Sinister 5. They are now going to potentially lose an objective themselves. They have a significant disadvantage after that team fight.
No, absolutely. BVD, they're holding their ground. They're holding what they need to do. But, I mean, doesn't this make it a little bit scary now for Sin 5? I mean, if their strat is to push, use the Shadow Shaman to get those objectives, BVD is knocking on their front door now at the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. BVD, they have... I mean, it's a Hand of Midas Razor. He's going to catch up with Farm no matter what. He's already got the Dragon Lance up. He's looking for the Sanjay Yasha now. And this is where the Hand of Midas can potentially pay off. I mean, we saw just sort of a snowball attempt from Sinister 5, and now they've lost a couple of team fights. They split up. They did some odd things maybe we didn't expect. And now they're paying the price, unfortunately. So Sinister 5, they set themselves back a little bit here, but they still have a shot in this game, of course. But they can't afford to make mistakes like that anymore.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it cost them dearly getting caught off guard there. It seemed that Sin 5, they got the jump onto the Omni Knight, and then they had rotations coming over here. But in that meantime, RDK was over here, had a couple of players over here, and they just couldn't get anything done. And then eventually ended up suffering and losing a couple of players here from Sin 5. 22 minutes into the game, sitting 7-5. Quite a big change in terms of how the game actually began.
Yeah, absolutely. The tempo's changed up quite a lot, and we can see that from Soda. I mean, Soda wasn't exactly ahead in the laning stages, and he's managed to pull that back. After that triple kill for himself, he's smiling a little bit, topping out their network charts, in fact. So, Smoke again from Sinister 5. They're going to see if they can catch anything out here. RDK, he is in a precarious spot if they do manage to catch him out.
He has actually picked up the illusion, so going to be able to pop out the smoke. They do see them, but they find Mikasa silenced immediately. Fearbanda, he gets raw, he gets hooked, and then a simple heal bomb coming out from Traxian.
Yeah.
I think that was really easy.
Pretty basic stuff. Nothing really huge there. And they only lost the support to a smoke rotation, which is a lot of time wasted for Sinister 5. And right now, that seems to be a little bit of a problem. They need to make sure they don't lose too much time. But they go for Roche. So this is definitely a good idea. Find a pick, go for Roche. And Keeper of the Light was one of the better heroes to find for that situation. Stanking, however, is a bit of a threat in the pit. He does have long-range initiation. And he is prepared.
He is trying to lock and load that big ulti, trying to find that perfect timing. The Aegis is on the deck. Nabi picks it up. They decide not to actually engage. Exorcism is still flying about, and the side of BVD decide, listen, we can't take it, back off. But now the cogs come in easily onto RDK, stacking him simply into the cogs and trying to help out his partner there. Telekinesis was going to be used onto Gerald just to get him out of the cogs. And I mean, BVD now all of a sudden back on the back foot. It feels like they're back on the back foot.
Absolutely. I mean, Sinister 5, they're in a good spot here. They did exactly what they needed to do. If you had asked me before that, what do they need to do, I would say get a pick in Roshan. And it's exactly what they managed to succeed here. And it seems like, again, the shot calling seems to be on point today. They definitely were prepared for this game, and I like to see this. But Smoke on the backlines, they're looking for a fight here.
Well, they dropped the Serpent Ward. Going to be doing some damage to the tower here. Soda jumping forward. Silenced out onto Traxian. The cogs come through. They find RDK. Telekinesis is there. Can RDK make it out of there? Static Link breaks instantly. 2-5 getting the Blink Strike. Epi, baby. Gets the Yules up. And now Fearbender going to be keeping himself alive. Doesn't have Exorcism available just yet. Fighting under the tier 1. Impact may go down here. The Rod of Aethos doing its work. Traxian. Big Illuminate to the face, but Nabi sitting in the front lines, tanking it down, got the repel on. Mikasa, he's not going anywhere, but 2-5 comes into the party. But the quills from Nabi just doing too much work. Another rod coming out from Fearbender, stopping him in his tracks. They're trying to chase down RDK, and now the side of Sin 5 backing off, limping away from that fight will be Nabi and Traxian. They're trying to, will they take down the tier 2? Is there enough here from the side of BVD? Can RDK stop it? and I don't think he can. And that is going to result in a tier 2 tower loss, as well as 4 for the side of BVD going down.
That was just great execution. All they lost was a support there. There was a big jump in from the Sand King. Traxian, I think, gave away the Guardian Angel once again, but it's difficult to hold on to that. Usually you throw out your Repel and you heal and they're on cooldown, and then the Guardian Angel comes out. So he did give that over to the opposing team, but that Rod of Aetel's paying off massive dividends.
That was a big pickup for Fearbender and absolutely changed the pace of the game, I feel.
Absolutely. I think Fearbender has just been playing really, really good Dota. He's going for a BKB now, so that's really good for him. He's going to be hard to stop, and on top of that, they got a Bristleback who's doing really well for himself. He's got Blade Mail up now as well, so something you don't really want to target, especially with these big damage outputs that do come out from Bravado. And Nabi, he's going to be standing on the front line. He's still got that Aegis of Immortality. He's got a lot of space. Whoops.
The hook comes through, trying to find Mikasa. Instant telekinesis out from Impact, and he's not going to find the cogs, and they're going to be able to just walk it off. But they do know now that BVD is in the vicinity, and that Sin 5 is looking to knock down the tier 3.
Yeah, tier 3 towers should be their goal now. They've still got the Aegis, like I spoke about. Nabi's on his way there. He's got a DD as well. So he's more than likely going to just stand on the front lines, do as much damage as he can, as quick as he can. And once he does, potentially just trade out, get that tier 3 tower, maybe even lose the Aegis. It's all worthwhile. But the big story here is that there is Ags and a gem up on the Keeper of the Light, so they do have that vision advantage.
I mean, where did he find this farm from, the Keeper of the Light? But the snakes are down. Exorcism is out. They're going to try and work through the glyph. It is up here for the side of the Radiant. Does BVD have enough to do what it takes? In the meantime, Soda is in the top lane, trying to split push out here. Sin 5. The TP's back in. We got Nabi, going to be silenced out. There's the BKB, 2-5. Got to be jumping in there. Epis, but goes down instantly. And the side of Sin 5 pushing through. Barback coming out from Mr. 2-5. And the first lane of Rax is down. Repo getting the shackles off onto RDK. 2-5 stunning out. Poor Repo. He's going to cancel out the shackles. And the root coming down onto Soda. Is it enough to actually bring him down? They lose the clock. Grip Swarm coming out from Fearbender, taking him down. And now Mikasa, can they actually do enough? They're throwing out another Illuminate. Can they do enough to bring down the tower? They do. A couple of right clicks coming out here from Nabi and Fearbender. They're trying to escape. Can they help out Nabi? Can they keep him alive? Do they have enough to take him down? Aegis is off the deck. It is down. And Nabi gets repelled up. Going to maybe try and throw himself back in there. Or maybe just create a little bit of space for the side of Sin 5 to get on out.
Yeah, that's really bad for BVD right now. It looks like they might just have a lot of work set out for them. But, again, on the plus side, they do have that Ags up on the Coddle, who is going to be able to sort of deal with these pushes coming in from now on. But, I mean, if they get Aegis once again, Nabi is just going to stand on the front lines and not care. He's just going to beat away at the racks like he did there. And at the same time, Fearbender has just been positioning himself exquisitely in these team fights. He's placed himself almost perfectly each time, making sure that he doesn't get caught out too much. He eels himself when necessary just to reduce the amount of damage output. And now with BKB on hand, he's got a 10-second BKB. The next high ground push is going to be a very scary thing for Bravado to deal with.
What do they do? What do you do as Bravado? How do you stop the squad of Sinister? It feels like Sinister still does have a kind of a timing window where they need to actually make something happen, because then they're going to start falling off, and then the side of BVD is going to get a little bit stronger. You start getting that Queen of Pain, level 25, huge spell, steal damage. Do they just try and postpone as much as they can, and now Sinister is on like the clock?
I don't think Sinister 5 have a clock right now. The Bristleback is online. He's got a pipe now. His team is pretty tanky. The Omni Knights has got Guardian Greaves. They got a lot of sustain. They're not too concerned about pushing down lanes, as we can see already. They're pushing down top. I don't think they're going to give up on this one. There's going to be a high ground attempt. It's going to be heavily reliant on the Keeper of the Light, just trying to keep these waves pushed out, as we can see. And he's going to do a good job at that. But here come the wards as well as the Exorcism.
Well, the Exorcism is down. The snakes are out. The blinding light just too good. The hook shot not coming through. And the side of BVD fighting, trying to fight down those snakes. They're going to get the tier 3. This is it. This could be Sinister 5 knocking down the racks. 2-5 jumps in, but a massive scream comes in, landing on 3, reducing the HP. Not enough here for Sin 5 to stay alive. And now SK trying to get out of there. RDK limping away. They still pick up the kill onto the SK. Buyback from the Rubric. but 2-5 is down, and we'll have to watch the rest of his team defend the high ground. They do. They take down the wards, and they don't get enough damage done.
Yeah. Since the 5, they'll be happy with that. Yes, they lost the Omni Knight in that, but we could see the amounts of sustain they managed to retain in that fight. The fight just was extended. It's not a problem for them. They have GG Boots, they have Pipe, and it's just a very, very difficult task for Keeper of the Light to deal with this right now. I know it's a heavy burden on his shoulders, but it's a difficult one in that he has to position himself, make sure he doesn't get hookshot by the keeper by the Clockwork. He's just got so much on his mind to think about. The rest of the defense is going to come down to sort of RDK trying to make sure he saps a lot of damage, but the damage output from both the Bristleback as well as the Death Prophet are making his life an absolute misery. So he's got a lot of work set out for him.
Well, it almost feels like RDK is going to be stealing damage, but there's no one. The only person that really makes the impact will be Nabi. They do find out Mikasa, though. This could be a big pickup. I mean, a lot of their vision is going to be lost now, and he goes down. He'll be back in 30 seconds. Don't think it's enough time for Sin 5 to actually make a play. Impact's just going to TP out. But this may be enough to put a little bit of chip damage here onto the tier 3 at least.
Well, they're actually going to go for the Rax here. They push a creep into the base, and they're going to head straight towards the Rax. The Queen of Pain was pushing out that lane, but they need to control all the lanes now currently, as mid lane is by the base.
Well, they do push in mid. In the meantime, in the top lane, they are trying to break through the side of Sin 5's Rax. They're not going to happen because Sin 5's almost lost the range Rax. And 2-5 epping, blinking in. Nabi popping down the blade mail. They lose the range Rax. They're trying to get involved here. They get the force sword here onto Nabi, trying to tank it for the side of his team, but BVD trying to maintain their positioning. And RDK going to try and right-click down Nabi. Ooh. Tank of note, RDK just tickles that bad boy, and not enough done. In the meantime, bot lane got clean sweeped. When did that even happen?
Yeah, well, the bot lane was taken a little bit earlier, but the 161 damage was stolen by the Razor, and he still just couldn't deal enough damage to bring down anyone. They managed to trade out one Rax. Now they're going to get a Shrine. This net worth margin is just growing and growing and growing. This is a massive burden here for Bravado. Now we see them actually going for a play here. They've smoked up as 4. Kriya's following them. They must be a little bit careful about that. But they're going to see if they can catch someone off guard, and this could be potentially something good for them.
They're going to try. They're going to find out Fearbender as well as Traxin. The scream comes out. The telekinesis is there. Going to try and call out the Omni. The Gerald gets the hookshot onto his teammates. The cogs come down, trying to split the team fight. But now we got the Spirit Siphon happening. The Rotovators is down onto Mikasa. And now the Shackles. Is it going to be enough to keep RDK there? It's not. The Exorcism doing its work. Silenced will be the Rubik. Will they chase down BVD? Or are they going to try and get out 2-5? Blinking out, stunning in, blinking out. Fearbender does pick up the kill and impact eventually. RDK going to get shackled out. RDK, does he hit the deck? Their high ground defense is looking very weak. They've got Mikasa still alive. Can he do enough to hold this onslaught here? They've only got one Rax to go down before they breach and get a double lane of Rax here for the side of Sin 5.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to back out. In fact, they may be a little bit afraid. The respawn times are pretty low. The creep waves aren't pushed in. They don't have backdoor cry right now, so I'm not so sure why they backed out, but still a great fight by them. They made all the right decisions, and they managed to turn that fight around. Considering how it started, it looked like Bravado were just going to shut that one down. Really good initiation from 2-5, but it just shows they don't have enough damage output to deal with the sustain on the side of Sins the 5. So, I mean, Bravado, they're in a tight spot here. I mean, they've lost a Rax in the bot lane earlier on. They lost half a Rax in the top lane. So these lanes are constantly going to be pushed out. And they can't afford to lose this Roshan, who has spawned and has been scattered out by Sins the 5.
Now, I mean, one thing that I want to maybe crit on, perhaps, maybe if it's a crit, maybe it's something that I'm not spotting out, but it seems that the side of BVD is really focusing down Nabi, the Bristleback. I mean, he's the last person you want to be targeting on. Hold that thought, though. Hookshot comes through, him instantly telekinesis out. That's what you can call a bait. Wow. But now we've got the stun forward from 2-5 coming in. The Atos is down. Repo gets the net off. The Illuminate comes out. You see those flying horses. And now Fearbender getting repelled out. RDK sitting in the front lines trying to work on Reaper. That is a better target. That is someone you need to go on. Soda coming into the front lines now. Jumps in. Blows up Repo. And he goes down. Soda BKB's up. Trying to work onto Gerald now as well. Nabi, can he get anything done? Bar back coming out from Repo. And now Crip Swarm thrown out from Fiabenda. Yules onto Soda. Nabi trying to get stuff done, has actually been blinded out. Radovatus is there. He can't go anywhere. Soda can't run. They've dropped the shackles. Do they have enough to bring him down in time? They do. They lose Soda. Nabi picking up a kill. RDK showing himself. Mikasa in a little bit of trouble here, taking a huge amount of damage from Exorcism. And could this be the opportunity for Sin 5 to knock up 3 versus 4? It looks like they may back out. Do they tempt the Rosh Pit at this point?
Yeah, this is definitely the goal here. They've won a pretty decent team fight. Yes, they had a bar back on the Shadow Shaman, but now they can use his wards to make sure that this happens very quickly. And Fiabenda, he'll heal up very quickly once his Exorcism does come down. It's going to be a hard defend coming at you from Bravado. They're looking to potentially move towards the Roche Pit here. This could be pretty detrimental to them. They have smoked up. Barbacks coming out from all sides. There we go, the initiation's in, but they're out!
Oh, the bloody light pushes them out. They get the kill onto Repo. The Aegis is going to be up for grabs. BVD. They push out the side of Sin 5. They clear it up. RDK picks up the Aegis. Soda gets a bar back. Big hook shot coming in from General, and the Cogs absolutely disrupting the fight here for the side of BVD. They're going to lose the poor man Impact. Soda very low HP. That could have been a dieback for him. But RDK trying to be controlled out here from the side of Sin 5. Soda, now their attention's turned to him. RDK a little bit too quick for the side of Sin 5. Can't make anything happen. Repo is down. They've lost the Rubik. And it looks like the team has lost. Sin 5 has lost the Aegis. They've lost that opportunity. And the Mana Leak out onto Nabi. Can they turn it around? Maybe they may look to make a play here. They got the jump in here from 2 to 5. Instantly get silenced out. We've got RDK trying to steal the damage. 2 to 5. Bites the dust. Gerald, he goes down as well. RDK gets siphoned out. Can they make anything happen? The Q comes out. And Soda, he's probably just walking it out. In the meantime, Mikasa being a pain in the royal bumsies as that Mana Leak is causing an absolute nightmare for Nabi.
Yeah, something that we obviously didn't talk about in the draft, but Mana Leak up against Bristleback is always a concern. He's one of the heroes that want to be running, and he wants to have a mana pool, so it's been really well used now by Mikasa, and stealing that Aegis is really big for Bravado. For one reason in particular, this buys him a lot of time. Again, they still have a Hand of Midas Razor. He's going to try and find farm as fast as possible. He's going for a Mjolnir now, pretty interesting, so he wants to have at least some extra damage output and some extra attack speed. The magical damage as well is pretty decent, so we'll see how that's going to pay off for him.
Talk about the god of lightning, pretty much on the field. He's going to be spewing lightning from every single crevice that he can actually generate.
Oh, but Sinister 5, they have something else in mind. They've gone for a 5-man smoke here. And they're going to look for some successful movement here. If they do find something, this could potentially be a lane of racks, or at least the time space shortened for energy. But Bravado, sorry. They also going to smoke up 4-man, and they're just going to sort of cross each other's paths as smoke does break. Oh!
2 to 5, spotting out Fearbender, gets the stun off. Sandstorms up immediately. They're trying to work onto Reaper. They get him, even though he glimmer claped out. Now we do lose Impact as well. Support for support. RDK standing in the middle, trying to chunk it down. Nabi's got the blade mail going. RDK taking a huge amount of damage. The Exorcism is doing its work. Gerald taking a huge amount of damage. The Aegis is down on the deck. RDK is down for the moment. Soda trying to get out of there. And RDK, can he make it out? They do lose Gerald eventually. But can they make something happen? 2 to 5. Charges up the Epi. Gets the blink in. Gets the stun off. But Fearbender makes easy work of him. Yours being used up onto Fearbender. Can he stay alive long enough? RDK, this could be it for him. Do they have enough to actually catch him? And forces staffs himself through the cliffs. Back to his teammates. And nice little play there from BVD. Keeping RDK alive. And this may just be the lifeline that BVD need to keep themselves in the game for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, Bravado, they doing what? Oh, actually, fight carries on. And RDK, he's so tanky. They're struggling to bring him down currently. They managed to bring the Aegis down, but having to kill him twice is a almost impossible task. So, a bit of a shady fight there for Sinister 5. They still have a decent position. I mean, the lanes are pushing in. If you look at bot, that's already been forced out. Soda's forced to go and deal with that. And it's every time they have a successful fight, they know that they've got to go and do some sort of tidying up of their lanes. Unfortunately for Sinister 5, they went for their smoke, but they were on the low ground, and the high ground scattered them out first. So they had the advantage of the initiation in the team fight from the beginning. So Sinister 5 started that fight on the back foot, and they still didn't do bad. They still managed to bring down the Aegis, and it wasn't the worst possible outcome.
Well, I mean, a couple of big items up here. Soda got the Veil, got the Orchid, BKB, Jules, RDK, like you said, building into the Maelstrom. Maybe that might have starting to pay off a little bit. They do have the Lotus Orb up on to Nubby. And Hookshot did go out, seemed to have missed RDK. So they may just reset and wait for that Hookshot to come back online.
Oh,
but they actually do spot out Mikasa as well as 2-5. Little bit of a problem here where Gerald is. May get caught out here. Fearbender comes to his rescue. Spirit Siphon is out. Nubby is trying to close the gap. Soda blinks out. Jules is going to be used. And Mikasa throwing down that ever-irritating Mana Leak. But 2-5 charging up the Epi. Blinks in, finds 2. Nubby does pick up the kill on 2-5. Blade Mail just getting so much done for the side of Sin 5. Throwing out the Crypt Swarm. Could this be the opportunity for them to push in? The Rod of Atos is down onto Impact. He pays with his life. Nubby picking himself up a double kill here. 2 of the supports down for the side of BVD. 2-5. Impact. Big problems here for the side of BVD if they decide to push up here.
yeah. The one thing that they have in their favor here is the Keeper of the Light is still alive. He's pretty decent at holding his defense. The sustain is a little bit weak right now. Guardian Greaves will come off cooldown shortly, so they can get a little bit of mana back. But the constant harass... Oh, we can actually see the whole wave managed to get protected there. And looks like high ground's going to be the goal. But again, the Keeper of the Light just destroys the waves.
Destroyed it. You've got the Keeper of the Light. You've got the Quap there as well. They do have a huge amount of creep clear. You almost necessarily have to take out Mikasa, find that pick off, and then push high ground.
Yeah, it's a difficult task, but they're going to trade a shrine. They'll be happy with this. A decent chunk of gold going into everyone's pockets. But they still have a lead, but they need to be very, very careful now. If Bravado can successfully defend for a lot longer, things could be a little bit more concerning for them. As I think Mjolnir is complete for... Okay, maybe he's just going for an AC now on RDK. But that's actually going to be big if he does get that AC up. Oh, he's actually going for Shivas. Interesting.
Interesting choice. We do have Fearbender also had that in his quick buy as well. Seems that he also wants to get that up, locked and loaded as well.
Oh, going for the Lotus Orb. Yes. Lotus Orbs. They got 2. They're going for...
So it was previously actually...
Yeah. They're looking to have 3 Lotus Orbs on the table here, the side of Sinister 5, which is really good. It means Keeper of the Light's going to have to be more careful about the Mana Leak. When he does throw the Mana Leak, they can debuff the Mana Leak, so that's always a positive. I think you can also debuff the amount of damage taken from Static Link. So, top lane.
They do find the jump onto Soda. Is it going to be enough to actually deal with him? Silence comes out. The Rod of Atos is there, forcing out a BKB. That is going to be massive for him as well. That was a decent play to get out of there and survive. But, I mean, bursting up the BKB, it is now on 5 seconds as well. So Soda's starting to lose that escapability, the option that he does have.
Yeah, he's got a BKB now. They managed to get out yet another charge, so he's down all the way to 5 seconds. So, I mean... He's now maybe going to be a little bit more afraid. He's still got the ability to TP out. He's been pretty much the individual doing the task of split pushing out the lanes and keeping that untidiness at bay. So it's going to be a little bit more scary now that it's on 5 seconds, but it's still should be able to get out. They don't really have any lockdown through the BKB.
So it's going to give him a little bit of an opportunity, a little bit of a chance. It seems that Sin 5 is now starting to hit the BVD brick wall.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that sort of needs to be careful of is Hookshot. Hookshot can obviously shut down his BKB. So it's tough, but I think Sinister 5 are doing the right thing here. I know it seems like, they're not getting any objectives anymore, but there aren't really many objectives left. But they're going to wait for this Roshan. Once Roshan's up in 33 seconds... That's going to be huge for them. And then their high ground sort of push is going to be a problem. One thing they need to do is make sure all these lanes are pushing back. And as long as they have a lane close to the opponent's base, they will make sure that there's no backdoor regeneration up.
So at the moment, BVD just doing a little bit of housekeeping, making sure those lanes are taken control of. Soda, he's doing a really good job pushing out the lanes. The side of Sin 5, they're looking to try and make a move here onto Rosh. Rosh respawn timer will be displayed very shortly on.
No, your spawn.
Oh, okay. So that was the shortest spawn available.
It was 1 minute, I believe, but it came up pretty quickly. Pretty nice one for them. And they're going to be able to secure this pretty easily. I don't think they want to make much of a trade, but Soda's done a good job of keeping these lanes sort of pushed in. It's not really doing significant damage to the high ground. But, yeah, I think they're aware now that this is happening. We can already see the movements coming up from Bravado to set up a defense.
Soda was going to TP back. The call was for him to stay and pressure the high ground. We do now have the side of BVD trying to get aggressive. Aegis is almost on the deck. It is. Fearbender picks it up. Hook shot coming out, trying to find RDK. Exum is down. Shackles is out on 2-5. Is it enough? The dust comes through. Now he picks up the kill on 2-5. And Fearbender has the Aegis. Yule's up. RDK. Is it going to be enough? He gets force-staffed out there by his teammate on it, Mikasa. But now Repo trying to make the next target go down. It's going to be Soda. Do they have enough? Rod of Atos is there. Is he going to go down? He does. Yeah, they do have buyback, or he's going to be down for about 105 seconds. And the side of Sin 5 may look at least trying to force a buyback here.
No buyback on 225, though, so that's something that they can consider. That's got about 50 seconds as well as 200 gold gap to wait. The Keeper of the Light, he does have a buyback, and so does the Queen of Pain, so that's all right. But I think they're going to go for the Siege here. They got the Aegis, they got Cheese on Bristleback. This is not an easy task by any means, and we can already see the Lotus Orbs coming to great effect. As Nabi gets a mana drained up, he can just Lotus Orb himself and not be concerned about it. So Tier 3 Tower, the last one to stand for Bravado, now under siege.
Well, they do use out the glyphs. The Mass Serpent's wards are down. They get the bar back from Soda. This is exactly what Sin 5 wanted, and this may be the opportunity for them to actually just back off and take their winnings and take it from their low mana for the side of Sin 5. But they are hanging around this vicinity. I don't think this is the absolute call to actually push up high ground here just yet. They don't have the wards available. They do have Exorcism and not a lot of mana for the side of Sin 5. Atos is down on RDK. They do pop the Shrine. They're going to try and put a bit of pressure onto these Rexes. Soda, BKB's up, throws out the screen, blinks forward. Gerald finds the hook shot onto Impact. Is it going to be enough? Sandstorm down, Rod of Atos down onto the Rubik. Onto Soda, he gets Yule's up. And Gerald trying to survive through the attack of RDK, but Repo finds and holds him in position. They're trying to work down on that last Rex. They get it. They get the melee. Can they get enough on the range? And 2-5 limping away here. They throw down the flare. It gets him. The Exorcism doing work. Soda in trouble. Can he get away? Traxian almost going down to RDK with that field. They get the telekinesis up onto Fearbender. It's not going to be enough. Can he walk away? RDK throws out the static link, throws out the shivers. The screen comes through, and the Aegis is on the deck. They take down the clock. The Shadow Shaman is down. Clock is dead for the count. Fearbender going to try and TP out, and he gets out by the skin of his teeth. They take it down the one Rax. The range in the mid lane is standing. In the top lane, the melee is standing. Typically summed up, they have got one lane of Rax left to go.
Absolutely. This range Rax is not going to heal up, so it's pretty much dead. As soon as they opt to go for another push. Yes, they lost Aegis again. Did they consume Cheese? Yes, they also consumed Cheese there. So, I mean, they used a lot, but it was all successful. Since the 5 looking to be on top of things here, this is the, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about them as the dark horse, and by all means, they're taking out one of the top teams here currently. I mean, it's not over yet, but currently they have such a significant lead. It's hard to say that Bravado can easily come back from here.
I mean, talking about the advantage and the leads, let's look at the graphs at the moment. At the moment, the net worth is sitting in favor of Sin 5. Started teetering back to BVD. Look, for a 50-minute game, it is not a huge amount. We're sitting at around about 6,000 gold deficit. Not a big deal, but still sitting in favor of Sin. Looking in terms of net of XP, I mean, drastically in favor of Sin 5 with almost a 8K advantage at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, we must keep in mind that there is a Hand of Midas on the table that's helping RDK sort of keep up in farm. But again, Bravado aren't exactly very far behind. They're not. They can definitely come back from this. So it's still going to be a difficult one for them, however. As I mean, they still got to take down a tier 2 in mid, which they are busy working on now. But at the same time, I mean, look at top lane. It's just pushing in. Fearbender, he's got no fear.
No TP on RDK. No TP on the Queen of Pain. Do they have TPs on anyone else? They've got a TP just coming off cooldown on Mikasa. And Impact, he does have a TP as well. And 225, he's actually there protecting out the base. So a little bit of a TP issue problem coming in from BVD. If they actually decided to push in, could have been a little bit of an issue for them.
Yeah, it would have been always their concern about that wraparound in the back. They knew exactly where BVD were, so if they actually lost people unnecessarily there, that could have been quite a big problem. But, I mean, yeah, if they opted to go for that range Rax, that could have been pretty much game. That means all lanes have super creep in range, apologies, in melee, and that's it's just almost impossible to deal with, especially if you've got a range Rax below half HP left. That's fortunately for Bravado, though, that it didn't come to fruition. But Since will still be happy with this.
Well, we do now have the Bloodthorn up onto Soda. Is this the item that could actually change the pace of the game? It is a big item. It has that evasiveness. You give True Strike to any hero that it's been applied to. Is this the item that the BVD needed?
Yeah, one of the things we must keep in mind, I think it disables Bristleback. His ability Bristleback. And that's pretty significant, as Nabi's been one of the biggest concerns for them. That means they'll have a better chance of sort of molting him down. But he does have a Lotus Orb, so he can instantly take it off. Oops.
Fearbender spotting out the SK. Immediately BKB's up. They're not going to actually find the pick-off.
Oh, wow.
And now a big fight happening here. They do get the cogs out onto Soda. He's popped BKB. Yule's up onto RDK. 2-5. Trying to get the epi off. He does. Huge blowout coming out from the Queen of Pain. The scream comes out. Draxian trying to get out of the Exorcism now being used out. They're going to pick up the kill onto RDK. Bars back immediately. And the Shackle's going to be able to be avoided there from Soda. And he gets forced off the way. He goes down. Fearbender clearing up the field. Is it going to be enough? They get the bar back on RDK. No bar back available on Soda. And Repo trying to find Mikasa. In the meantime, the pings do come out. Can they find Impact? Fearbender trying to close the gap. Impact does have haste. And he's going to be able to make himself a hastily retreat out of there. But Soda being offline, not having bar back, this could be a big problem here. In the meantime, mid lane has actually been cleared out. They did manage to clear out that Rax. There's one Rax standing in the way of Sin 5. Could this be our first game winners for this Mega 8 tournament of the first game of the event? And they're trying to defend. Gerald finds the backlines, gets the cogs off RDK. Mikasa in a serious amount of trouble. Blinding Light trying to control him out. They do have the Lotus Orb up onto RDK. They clear out the Rax. Megas are on the field. They delete Repo. Fearbender gets telekinesed up, instantly gets repelled out. And now the side of BVD are trying to fight for the scraps off the table. Do they have enough to survive and push Sin 5 back? Gerald taking a bit of damage. They're going to have to walk himself out of there. But now Mikasa gets forced off the way from the Rod of Atos from Fearbender. Crypt Swarm not going to connect. RDK, can he bring down Gerald? He doesn't. Forced off is going to be good. But now Traxian taking a huge amount of love here from RDK. He goes down. No! Gerald comes in with a hook shot to save him. And he's trying to get out of there. RDK couldn't pick up the kill. And the side of Sin 5 clearing out the Ancient. This is going to be it. Sinister 5 takes down game number 1. Take down BVD.
Oh man, what a game. What a beautiful game. I mean, the underdogs come through and once again snag a game off of Bravado. And all the Bravado fans out there, they might be a bit concerned by this. But I mean, Sinister 5, they've been putting a lot of effort in recent times. And they're looking to be an extremely strong team. And with this success, they're looking to be in a very hot position in the tournament as the dark horse that many have been talking about.
That was an unbelievable performance. I promised you guys this was the stream to watch. And that game that we just witnessed, it went on for 53 minutes, 41 seconds of pure excellence from the side of Sin 5. BVD seems like they're a little bit on the back foot. What do they need to do to get themselves back in this game and make themselves a true contender?
I think it's a very important thing to shut down Fearbender. I mean, look at him. He's sitting 10-0 and 18. Definitely one of the more scary players on the side of Sinister 5. He's been very successful. He positioned himself very well. His item progression was really, really good. That Rod of Atos was tremendous in the mid game, and then going into the BKB and so on, he really had a massive impact. At the same time, I think the supports did a great job. I mean, Reaper managed to find a tremendous amount of farm on a Shadow Shaman, which is quite significant.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, looking at the damages that came out, he didn't really get a lot of damage done, the Repo. But, I mean, he was always there. Looking at his assists, 15 assists, pretty much trying to get those kills for his team. Still ended up with 5 kills at the end of it, but definitely Nabi and Fearbender, real MVPs for their team.
Yeah, I feel like I can agree with you there completely. I think Fearbender, more than likely the MVP just by doing so well in laning stages and transferring that into the late game. Nabi, he just did his job. There's nothing more you can add on that. He did a great job at that. And I think their draft was great, and I'm very glad to see my prediction being wrong here. Sinistafire taking one game, so there's no way I'm going to be correct. But, man, it's game 2,
What
Sinistafire.
an exciting game.
Ugh.
And Fearbender not going down to anyone from the side of the Dire. Undied, not dead. I mean, maybe you said undying, perhaps.
We'll see.
But, I mean, Shane, look at Impact spent a huge amount of gold on support items. Mikasa playing the position 4, getting the stuff that they needed to do. So, I mean, looking at the level progressions and therefore, I mean, graphs, let's take a quick look at player graphs. I mean, Bravado had a decent chance to take the lead, but then Sin 5 just started snowballing. Again, they try to come back here. At this point, nothing drastic happened, and then all of a sudden, absolute landslide going in favor of Sin 5.
I think these graphs show something very important here. Sinister 5 always had a lead, but Bravado never let it get too far away from them. They always managed to sort of keep it close enough for themselves so that if Sinister 5 made a mistake, all of a sudden Bravado are going to take charge. So I think they did a great job at that. Unfortunately, the team fights didn't go the way, and again, I say the draft was just so solid from Sinister 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at this high point over here. It's around about the 28-minute mark. Let's take a look at player items and see what actually was picked up at that point in time. Nabi picked up the Pipe of Insight. Big pickup for him. BKB up onto Fearbender and Guardian Greaves at that point in time. The side of BVD only managed to pick up the Hurricane Park, not giving them that big item progressions was what they needed.
I think the biggest thing they had there was the Ags on the Keeper of the Light. But, I mean, you pointed out quite perfectly. They spiked quite precisely the side of Sinister 5. They all managed to get these items that made a tremendous difference to the game, the BKB, the Guardian Greaves, as well as the Pipe. And that just made it sort of impossible for the Keeper of the Light to sort of control them. And it also made it gave them extra sustain.
All right, well, guys, we need to get out of here so we can set up the lobby in the meantime. And we will be back with you with game number 2 super shortly, because that was an amazing turn of events for the side of Sinister 5, taking BVD to town 0-1.
Absolutely. All right, cheers.
And welcome back to Stream B. I am Jabba, joined by Scarpy. What did we just witness?
Well, it was something I really hope to see. Everyone enjoys a good underdog story, and that's what we got today. I mean, Sinister 5, again, taking a game off of Bravado. I know before the tournament they took 2 games off of them, but I thought, okay, Bravado would come in prepared. But it seems like Sinister 5 were the ones who came in more prepared. They seem to just understand how to beat Bravado.
They came out with a beautiful pushing strat. They picked up the Shadow Shaman. They picked up the DP, and it made it really hard for BVD to actually stop it. They did pick up the Coddle, but just didn't have enough to actually stop the onslaught of Sin 5.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Sinister 5 just got so much sustain. It seemed like, and their timings were so good. They got the Guardian Greaves, the Pipe of Insight, and the BKB on the Death Prophet all up at around about the same time, and that's when we really saw their big impact, where they said, okay, we're going to take your high ground. And it seemed almost impossible. One of the other important things Sinister 5 had was great control over the Roche Pit. Every time Roche was up, they controlled that Roche Pit.
They did lose it once to BVD.
Yeah.
RDK did manage to pick it up. So a little bit of a tussle there. I mean, Mikasa played an amazing cartel, getting the side of Sin 5 out of the pit, actually, for them to actually come in and take their team fight.
Yeah, that was just a good play. By all means, that was just a great play by Bravado, and it was one of the rare occasions where Sinister 5 was sort of caught off guard. It wasn't maybe poor play by them, but it was just Bravado taking advantage of that sort of situation. But after that, Sinister 5 didn't really make the same mistake. They made sure all the lanes were pushed out. They knew exactly where they were, and the fact that Bravado lost racks just meant someone needed to be pushing out these side lanes. So the movement, as soon as they knew Roche was being taken, was a little bit slow and was almost impossible for them to sort of deal with. And on top of that, the Rod of Ados pick up by Fearbender absolutely just crushed their souls.
Well, I mean, also the Queen of Pain being picked up. I think it was picked up the very last. Am I right? So they picked up the Queen of Pain still into the Omni Knight, and the Repel was a little bit of a problem for them and couldn't actually get anything done. So it gets to the point where, like, what does Sin 5 at this point in time? How do they continue their streak? Do they go back again to actually push?
Yeah.
That pushing strat.
Yeah, that's the question, right? It seems like Sinister 5 have beat Bravado consistently with these sort of pushing strats, these ones where we want to force you to try and stop us. And it failed once. I think I cast that game with you for the qualifiers for this tournament. And it failed once for them. But other than that, it looks pretty good. It looks very promising from them. And this time, instead of going for the Lycan, they went for the Bristleback, and that looked a lot better for the likes of Nubby.
Well, I mean, now what do we see? Do we see the same bands? Do we see the same picks? Do you think BVD is going to go to the point where they're going to try and change out a couple of things to try and give themselves the advantage? I mean, Soda played the Queen of Pain. I don't feel he had a really good showing on it. Same as RDK on the Razor. You expect those kind of players to actually have big impact in the game, and it felt like they didn't.
I think one of the things that Sinister 5 did well was create chaos. They created chaos in these team fights. The Queen of Pain wasn't sure what was left and what was right, and he often sort of had to, okay, I've got to focus on this guy, but meanwhile they were doing something to RDK, and it was absolute chaos, but it seemed like structured chaos coming out from Sinister 5. They knew exactly what their goals were, shut down this, shut down that, and you pointed it out. Oh, seems like we have a reconnect.
All right, well, we'll just jump back to our camera view so we can get the lobby up once again. But, I mean, it was a really exciting game, and it was to the point where we didn't even know what the outcome was going to be. I mean, BVD's been a really strong Dota house.
Yeah.
I mean, Sinister 5's new upcoming and making some big plays. And they get to the point where Sin 5 takes the first game of BVD off the Mega 8.
Yeah.
Should I create...
Yeah, I believe so. If we just had the wrong... It is our own fault. If we just... we unfortunately didn't put the first pick to the right people, so...
Oh.
We can just switch that one up.
Oh, unfortunately.
But,
right, well, you carry on and let me...
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think... another thing, Bravado, they're a team that will want to prove themselves now. They've taken over, well, they've become part of a franchise that is very, very, very renowned in South Africa, in both in esports in general, and it's a difficult sort of it's a difficult place to be, but they need to prove themselves now. They need to make some sort of a statement because they have now stumbled to a team that was weaker than them, even though they actually had the highest seeds in the Star 5 coming into this tournament. Bravado is renowned to be the stronger team on paper.
Well, I mean, we've been discussing it, and Sin 5, I mean, they this new team, BVD, they went under different franchise houses, and eventually aligned themselves with BVD. And the BVD has been a powerhouse in the past, undefeated powerhouse in the past, and now to the point where, I mean, starting to slack a little bit behind. Generally, we see the BVD house being this massive, crazy team that absolutely does wonders.
Yeah, absolutely. I think BVD are in again a tight spot now. I feel like the players themselves have got a bit of pressure on them, but they are a very experienced lineup. All the players are very experienced, so I don't think they're going to take this too hard. I think they're going to maybe transition. They're going to keep calm, but the pressure's certainly on. And they've got a lot of work to do for themselves to pull themselves back into the series itself.
Well, let's hold thumbs for BVD if they can do it, if they can take us to the caster's dream of going to a best of 3. First game was amazing. And Sin 5 taking game 1. Can BVD stop the Sin 5 train from taking a game from them?
Yeah, I mean, BVD, they have to win here, right? Well, they're in a tight spot. Sinister 5, they're happy. I'm sure they're all sitting at home absolutely ecstatic. I think they're actually at boot camp, if I'm not mistaken. And they're definitely going to feel very hyped about this, what happened in the previous game, and they're going to try and transfer that into something going into game number 2. They're going to keep that hype going. One of the things now I see very early on, they do ban out the Keeper of the Light, which gives you an idea that they might be going again for that pushing strat, which Bravado, we'll see if they actually have an answer for that this time around.
Well, I think besides the point of the high ground defense that Mikasa did on the Kotl, just that mana leak is an absolute nightmare to deal with. And we saw Nabi constantly being controlled out from the Kotl. Mikasa constantly mana leaked him, consistently drained him. And Bravado, the respect picks have been real so far.
Wow.
I mean, Nabi's Bristleback banned out. We've got the ban out from Kotl being banned out.
Yeah.
Common bans, the Legion's been taken out, Darkseer's been taken
Warlock.
out. That opens up Warlock as well as the Treant that have always been popular bans. Well, at least the Warlock. Tree is kind of fallen off a little bit.
Yeah, Tree's he's been nerfed, but still has tools that are very effective, so can still be considered. And I'm pretty sure Bravado said, "Oh, they're probably going to ban out Warlock. What are we going to do?" But they still go for Warlock. There's no way you don't pick up Warlock. Warlock is
he's just too strong.
He's way too strong. I think he's actually overpowered a little bit in this particular patch. So the Survivor, their rebuttal is going to be Nightstalker and Jakiro. Still pretty strong support heroes. Very difficult to deal with. But this Warlock is a tremendous concern. And I believe this will be Mikasa's Warlock. And that just adds on to the fear of how they're going to deal with this.
Well, I mean, you've got the Nightstalker being banned out in the previous game, and now Kotl's been banned out, and Nightstalker's been picked up. I've seen our SA teams play and pick up Nightstalker. When it doesn't work so well in the off lane, they ended up jungling him. How do you think Sinister 5 is going to actually run the Nightstalker? Are they going to run him as a roamer, or are they going to rather put him in a constant offlane position or retreat him to the jungle? What kind of position do you think Sin 5 is going to try and actually run the Nightstalker?
Yeah, this is actually quite a common opening. It leaves a lot open, I suppose. But Nightstalker could be run on the offlane. It is pretty useful. At the same time, the fact that they have the Jakiro just shows that, okay, we're going to sort of try and dominate our lanes as much as possible and see if we can come out ahead. So I feel like the Nightstalker might just be on that roaming position, look to put a lot of pressure on the mid lane. But you make a great point. It's very versatile at this stage. Maybe Sinister 5 do this intentionally, just to make sure that, okay, if we have successful rotation, or if our draft goes our way, we're going to do it Nightstalker pos 4. If the draft is not exactly what we hope for, we bid pos 3 Nightstalker. It all depends. So I like it. I like their opening here, but I mean Bravado's opening is just far more superior, far more.
Well, look, I really like the Warlock. At the moment, I'm a little bit scared about X because obviously he wants to jump in call. If the X doesn't actually catch out the Jakiru, the Jakiru is going to throw down an Ice Path right on top of him.
Yeah.
Throw down his Double Breath, throw down his Macropire, and then X doesn't really do too well up against magic damage. It's going to force him into picking up a pipe and a lot of magic resist. How do you feel that Bravado wants to actually run the X against the Jakiru? Because it's such good positioning. The Jakiru doesn't really need a Yules that will actually position the heroes. X jumps in, finds your core. Jakiru says, thanks very much, thanks for coming. Let me throw down an Ice Path. And if he positions himself pretty well, he can actually maybe catch 2 or 3 of the enemy players or the BVD players inside that Ice Path.
Well, of course, that is a dream if you're on that on that Jakiru. But like you say, Jakiru is going to jump forward. I mean, Axe is going to jump forward, and his team's more than likely going to look to follow up. So they're usually going to sort of line themselves up. If Jakiru is positioned well, which is going to be of utmost importance, he can really just have a nice disengage for his team. Night Stalker on top of that is going to sort of restrict damage, can silence heroes, can slow people down, and he's a pretty tanky fella on top of that. So it's still okay for Bravado. I think like the Axe still, if he catches anything, is still going to be good. Yes, there's a concern of the Ice Path, but the follow-up is just too damn strong with the Warlock already. And Upheaval is just going to mean, okay, you put Ice Path, but you still can't run away from us. We'll just you're just going to have these hands coming at the ground, grabbing at your ankles, and you can't leave the vicinity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they pick up the Ursa. Ursa can get kited really easily around for the side of BVD. So the Upheaval could actually become a little bit of a hindrance for him. He's going to probably have to look at getting a BKB. Before we continue with the draft, something very particular is look at the side of the bans. They've banned out Fearbender's DP. They don't want to deal with it no more. They've banned out the Lycan. For the side of Sinister 5, they've banned out the Lich and the Sven. So now Sven is starting to be recognized as one of those god tier picks again.
Yeah, for sure. I think Sven is still looking damn strong. There's no reason why teams shouldn't fear that hero at all. He is a very, very big concern. But again, being banned in the 4th phase here, I don't think either team are really looking for that right now. I suppose Axe can be good with the call as well as the Warlock, but they wouldn't allow Bravado to get that by any means. If they let the Sven through, they would have surely picked it up. But the Ursa is just this is going to make laning impossible for the Axe. The Axe might even have to just fall back into the jungle here because he's going to be dealing with the Jakiru, slowing him down, and Axe is just, Ursa is just going to be stacking up the Fury swipes, and Axe just melts to that. So he's going to be in a tight spot. If the Night Stalker makes a rotation, and he's definitely going to be in trouble. Again, the question is, do Bravado play a dual lane again?
Well, that is the question. I mean, they've got Axe as a jungler. Do they actually decide to put him in the jungle position? There is that option. Do they run him in the off lane? Could be. Kunkka's now being picked up. Now, Kunkka, we've seen in the previous meta, Kunkka's been played mid, he's been played off lane, he's been played safe lane. Bravado keeping their cards open a little bit here and trying to trick out the side of Sin 5. But it seems that Sin 5 kind of know what they want to do. They're pretty happy. They were going to pick up the IO to secure that. And now Sin 5, all they need to do is now pick up their mid. BVD seems like they maybe have put themselves in a corner here, perhaps with the X Kunkka pick. Look, if they land the X, going to set up great calls for the X. They're going to be able to set up great torrents. And then as soon as they're all running, they're going to throw down the boat on top of that. Yeah. And the boat ulti has actually received a buff. Yeah. Not in terms of the actual ability, but just the cast point or the cast ability.
Yeah, so he doesn't really need to position himself out of the team fight to get the ship down, so that's always a very good strength. But Sinister 5, answering one of the questions I had in the previous game, do they run Io? And it seems like they do. They managed to pick him up this time around. We're going to see how impactful that's going to be. But we are going to see a Soda Invoker, which is pretty scary. I would have liked to have seen a Fearbender Invoker. I know that's extremely strong. So both sides having very strong Invoker players, but Bravado this time actually going to be playing on that one. So it's interesting. I would like to see Sinister 5's sort of answer to this, and I think that's a very good ban. I was just about to suggest that the Terrorblade would be just ridiculously stupid for Bravado, almost unstoppable. So yeah, I think the draft still favors Bravado 100%, just because they go Warlock Axe. It's just that strong. Whatever else follows up is scary. And now they got massive wombo combo. Like you pointed out, Kunkka is a major wombo combo. He's going to be doing a lot of damage. And an Invoker who just does well. If heroes are locked down by an Axe or by a Warlock, it's just easy feeding grounds for an Invoker.
Does the Kunkka here currently in this draft pick up at the position 4, Warlock position 5, Axe in the off lane, and then pretty much move on from there?
Yeah, that just makes that would just be the strongest way. Ooh,
And that's going to be an RDK Vengeful Spirits.
Yeah.
I mean, so far in this new meta, he's received a really good amount of stats on the Vengeance is really good as a core hero now, let alone the amount of auras and degen auras that he actually provides to the rest of the team. Decent pickup. Haven't seen many other teams succeed with the Vengeful Spirit except for Ecstasy.
Energy.
Ecstasy.
Yeah, and Energy. They also had a pretty successful one. No other teams are really running it, so I'm intrigued to see Bravado, how they're going to transition this. But RDK is one of those players who has just a massive hero pool, so I think he's comfortable in anything they throw at him. Yes, he had a bit of a tough time in the previous game, but that by no means says that RDK doesn't have or has a very small pool. Yeah, he's sort of playing the enabling role for that Invoker, and then just the rest of his team are looking to just sort of have massive team fight ability. Whereas Sinister 5, their draft this time seems a bit shaky to me. It doesn't seem like, okay, wow.
Well, okay, that is a...
Mid lane.
That is going to be a Fearbender Leshrac, something we haven't seen very often. I haven't seen very often.
Yeah.
I haven't seen how it's actually going to fare up against the side of BVD. But so far from what I could expect is going to happen, Axe is going to jump in, get the call off, Jakku's going to throw down the Ice Path, Leshrac's going to throw down an amazing Earth Split, throw out the Diabolic Edict, let his Nova go ham. And if he picks up the Ags on the Leshrac, going to start doing a huge amount of damage. How does the matchup go, though, in the mid?
Well, it depends. If Io is going to be sitting in the Leshrac, it's going to go insanely well for the Lesh. If the Io is with the Ursa, that's going to be another question. Very interesting that they've actually switched up roles here. Gerald looks like he's taking the offlane Nightstalker here, and Traxian going on to the Io. So, yeah, it's highly dependent. I feel like Invoker still does well. Even if there is an IO in lane, he just has huge amount of physical damage output, so he can harass that IO out. But at the same time, Leshrac still needs levels before he comes online. So I think it favors Invoker no matter what. But it depends. I haven't really seen Traxian play IO for quite some time. So we'll see what kind of impact he really does bring to the lane.
Well, I'm super scared to see the Warlock lane. Specifically, we're seeing him have huge impact in the early parts of the game. That Fatal Bonds, as well as the Shadow Word, just does so much work.
Yeah.
So the game is about to begin. The Tower Showdown has begun, and the side of BVD have a little bit of a better tower.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah.
Right, well, for the side of the Radiant this time will be the Sinister 5 crew. On the side of the Radiant will be BVD. For those of you that are just joining us, this is game number 2 of the Mega 8 Esports Tournament. It is our first series of the evening. We started at 6. We're now sitting on at 7:45. Only one game down the hatch. Can BVD take a game off Sin 5? Amazing first game we saw.
Yeah, that's exactly the question that is going to be asked by everyone. Very aggressive smoke coming at you from Sinister 5 to sort of secure their opponent bouncy run, and it seems like either they know this or Soda's going to walk into a big trap, and this trap could really suck.
Oh, maybe Ice Path on the Jakiro, maybe Repo, or does he want to go for the slow?
It's like they knew that this was happening, because Invoker's not even worried about getting a bouncy run. He's just going to block his lane.
Well, he does actually have the split earth up on Fearbender, so that's going to give an opportunity. Slow down from the Jakiro, then the stun coming out from Fearbender. They could actually catch him. Is it going to happen? We do actually have 2 to 5 here on the Axe. Are they going to find this? It's like reading each other's minds. You know when you say you've played teams and you kind of see the similar heroes, they know they're going to kind of invade your jungle. And unfortunately, Sin 5 not walking away with anything. And Mikasa picking up their bounty rune, Sin 5 picking up 1 bounty rune. So it still goes a bounty rune apiece for both teams. They only split the map in the other direction.
Yeah, neither mid lane are actually getting a bouncer in there, which is fine. I mean, look at Traxin. Is he going to try and snipe a Korea? I believe he is, and Korea is running. Okay, no, it hasn't done anything yet. So I think that's his goal, but he's backed out now. He realized, okay, he didn't get a clarity. He didn't get the other bouncy run, so it's not a problem.
So he probably checked out the inventory. He's sitting with pretty much a full stack inventory. Doesn't expect the bottle to be coming out so soon. So they're probably looking at around about the 5-minute mark to get the IO back in lane and try and pick up that that little courier snipe. But
as expected, 225 gonna have to jungle. He just knows that the matchup against the Ursa is just not favorable, and doing the right thing, 100% there.
So now we've seen strong cores that are in this position that you kind of give space, you kind of surrender the lane, and giving a core like Nabi the opportunity to just free farm, especially not just Nabi, but an Ursa. Ursa playing from the front is an absolute devastation. He's very bad from playing from behind, but given the opportunity that Nabi's going to get on the Ursa, I mean, we're going to expect a little bit of maybe a landslide from Nabi.
Yeah, I think Nabi is going to be very happy with this outcome, as long as rotations don't come to him. But that's exactly what Sinister 5 have realized. Okay, we put an aggro tri-lane against you, and then I dare you to rotate. If you rotate, we're going to kill RDK for sure, and then you might not even have a successful rotation onto the Ursa. So he's forcing these supports to hang around and sort of potentially sap some XP from RDK. They position themselves pretty well to make sure they don't take too much. But this also means they're going to pull, and it's going to be successful pulls. It's going to be hard to contest, and a Night Stalker is finding farm at the same time. And we all know that a farmed Night Stalker is a very, very scary beast to deal with.
No, and now with that, I think it's called Flight. I mean, what is it called at the moment? Hunter in the Night. So Hunter in the Night is going to give him the opportunity to jump over trees, jump over ledges, and puts a big threat on the Soda mid, on the Invoker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Soda is not doing particularly well up against Fearbender here in the mid. Fearbender is doing an extremely great job, in fact, at keeping up pretty well. He does a hell of a lot of physical damage, so must be very, very careful there. Obviously, double damage now on Fearbender, which is going to help him win this lane even more. But, top lane.
Oh, they do try and get the torrent off. They do find it onto Gerald. Io in the vicinity, going to try and keep him alive. The Shadow Word going to try and tick down his damage.
Oh.
He gets brought back by the X, and First Blood going in favor of BVD. Impact actually picking up the kill there. So First Blood going in favor of BVD. Sinister 5 caught a little bit of guard there, but X marks the spot. Just too good.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a big problem for them. They actually needed this aggro tri-lane to pay off. Yes, the Ursa's free farming pretty much, but the amount of pressure that they want to be bidding on the safe laner, if it's not there, then all of a sudden they're bidding themselves at a little bit of a disadvantage. However, I mean, it's not going well for the Venge. He's under constant pressure, but if they're going to find kills again at a constant rate, it's going to be a bit of a problem. The IO, his bottle's empty. He needs to make sure he has a full bottle, but
RDK, that was a little bit of a misclick there, running back to the side of the Radiant, but the Torrent is just a little bit better, actually, and actually stops Gerald as well as the Jakuru in their tracks and couldn't get anything out of that. But I mean, that was a little bit of a big misplay there coming out from RDK, running back into the enemy team.
Yeah, and I mean, it's okay. He knows he's got pretty strong defensive supports in the sense. He got Torrent as well as the heal. In fact, they're going to look for a kill here onto Gerald again, and he's dead.
Well, Fatal Bond's doing quite a bit of work, does wind up. X marks the spot as there. Shadow Word doing its stuff. And now the TP comes out here from Reaper. Nothing to actually hold him back. And he's going to actually get out there. Did have a torrent available in 1 second available now. Not doing enough. And RDK did have the magic missile. Can't find the Reaper. And he gets out. They use the scan. And now he's got an out. And Bob is your uncle. And he's out of there.
Yeah. So this is not good for Sinister 5 at all. They've now died twice in that lane that they wanted to be putting pressure on. Yes, they had sort of favorable situation where the Ursa's getting free farm, but if you are going to be feeding over kills, it's not worth it because the supports are getting a lot out of it. Even though they don't get the kills themselves, I mean, Impact in fact got a kill for himself. He's got boots now, so he's pretty mobile. He's also managed to find level 3, And this is really a tough situation. Now rotation coming up from Gerald and looking in mid.
Well, just having a look in mid here, I mean, you can see how Soda is playing. He's under a lot of threat. He's not even standing close to the tower at all. They do pop the Edict. Gerald is there. Traxian trying to get that link. The Shadow Work coming, trying to keep him alive. That Sunstrike does come down. Not enough to take down Fearbender. Mikasa, is he going to go down? Fatal Bond's doing its work. He goes down. Fearbender down for the count. But the Fatal Bond is not going to be enough to bring down Traxian. And some decent rotations, beautiful rotations, coming in from the side of BVD.
There we go. Well, I thought that tower was going to be denied, but the catapult just got the one right click off, and we'll secure that one for them. So a little bit of an up there. A 1-for-1 exchange, really, but a lot of rotations forced out again from Sinister 5. Yes, they forced the axe out of the jungle, but not a big rotation for him. And I think he's actually got his tranquils up now. So he's actually doing pretty well on this axe. Having a successful rotation as well is going to help him out. He actually found that kill. This is, I think it's looking very positive here for Bravado in these early stages.
Well, Traxian gets taken down from a Sunstrike. I think he was just showing himself in lane, and Soda says, well, you're going to show me on super low HP, and he bites the dust. He was probably sticking around unnecessarily.
Yeah, okay. I missed that one, but that's
I never saw the kill. I know he was very low HP. It was a Sunstrike that took him down. It was Soda. So Soda was sitting up in the top lane, and then easy Sunstrike mechanics for him, and he bites the dust.
Yeah, that's really good for Soda. Of course, he gets the XP from that. But the surprising thing is Fearbender is still an entire level ahead of this Invoker. So he's had a lot more success in the laning stages, and it's probably one of the bigger problems. However, the other lanes, I mean, Ursa's just farming up no matter what. Like, no one's stopping him by any means. And at the same time, the top lane is probably favorable towards BVD. So it's quite even, as we can see in the net worth. It's almost at 0. Oh, Reaper. Oh, he will TP out. Okay, it doesn't get caught out. But this is, I suppose, stagnant, even though there's a lot of kills in the favor of BVD. The Ursa's been free farming, which is a very, very scary thing. He's already got lifesteal online with phase boots. If he gets a blink dagger, he's going to look to make some movements around the map. And that could be a bit daunting for Bravado.
Well, we do have some four of their players actually here in the top lane. Going to leave Nabi in the bot lane. Trying to create a bit more space for him. It's not even needed, but they may look at trying to take down this top tier 1. We do have Soda in the mid lane. He's not very focused at the moment. He does have a TP. He can get the rotation in. Bot lane 225 also does have a TP. So Sin 5, if they decide to jump in, have to be ready for the TPs. The torrent comes out. I'm going to do a little bit of damage there to Fearbender. They're going to pop out the Edict. And those balls just hitting RDK and keeping them quite a distance here from the tower. They feel strong enough, confident enough that BVD can actually defend this tier 1. And no, they actually get the rotation in there from 2 to 5. Sunstrike comes down. They do take down the IO. He pays with his life. Traxian completely out of position there, trying to probably take down their bounty rune or actually trying to create a bit of space for his team. Don't know the reason for him being caught out there. But he goes down. And now RDK pops into the bot lane, reckons, well, okay, I'm going to go toe-to-toe against Nabi. Maybe I'll have a little bit of a better round. Maybe I'll get a little bit more farm. I mean, he's sitting at 38 versus Nabi's 65.
Yeah, and it's a significant margin for it to be considered. And
they do turn it around, throw down the magic missile. Nabi gets the fatal bonds on. Sunstrike's going to be actually consumed by both. Traxian going to try but as he goes down. RDK gets that last right click. Nubi, he's going to try and TP out there. They don't actually, it actually gets cancelled out. And Nabi is going to go down as well. They get 3 rotations from the side of BVD. But a successful maneuver from the side of BVD. And all of a sudden, 9 minutes in, 7-1. Things have gone terribly awry here for the side of Sin 5.
Absolutely. Bravado looking to be in pretty good shape here. 1-7 in their favor. But, yeah, I think Sinister 5, they grouped up a little bit earlier, I feel. They wanted to find more objectives with the Leshrac, and it didn't really pay off. Oh, split off Earth just off the mark, unfortunately. But he's actually chasing Soda down. Okay, never mind, he backs out. But, yeah, it's looking a bit sort of precarious for them right now. They're going to be fighting into a Warlock, and when you fight into a Warlock from behind, it's almost an impossible task. So positioning is going to be vital. I feel like I say this every game, but this one in particular is going to be a difficult task for them to sort of deal with what Bravado is going to bring to the mid game.
Well, I mean, we're going to get to the point where things are going to start getting heated up. I mean, Sinister 5 hasn't had the best start at the moment, sitting 1. We haven't really, I haven't really seen those big rotations that you'd expect to see out from the Night Stalker. Nice little debate there coming out from the Illusion Lesh. Fearbender does eventually get spotted out here from RDK, going to pick himself up the Invisra and make it easy for himself. But, I mean, we're sitting now 1 kill for Sinister 5. Ursus just jumped into the pit. Mikasa spotting him out. X is there. We now get the Io coming in.
Wow.
He does actually pick up the Aegis. This could actually turn into a big team fight here. RDK comes out with a magic missile. Gerald slowing down Mikasa. He goes down. Nabi getting the kill there. The call comes off, trying to drag down Nabi into the far ends of the earth. Sunstrike not going to be on the mark. It actually does. Finds Nabi. The Aegis is off the deck. They lose the IO, and now Nabi surrounded by 4. The call comes in here from 2-5. Do they have enough to deal with it? The dunk comes in. The Kobe Bryant of the Dota comes in, takes him down, and they lose Nabi. They lose Traxian, and all of a sudden, BVD looking in a completely different team that we saw previously.
Yeah, I mean, the only pro that is that they actually got Roche. I was very close to them actually losing Roche there for Sinister 5. But the fact that they sort of managed to deal with that was okay. They managed to collect that one for themselves. But like you say, Bravado, they definitely on in a very comfortable position. Oh, Split Earth, just off the mark. They're looking to play aggressively here into Soda, who's actually quite low on mana. And yeah, seems like that's going to be it. The one problem that Bravado has is that they're unable to really take objectives very quickly, whereas it's the opposite for the side of Sinister 5.
You got a valid point there. We are lacking in kills for Sin 5, but they've already taken the Tier 1 tower.
Yeah.
Tier 1 tower is down. Objective 1 out of 4 billion completed.
Yeah, and the bot tower as well. So it's two Tier 1s, and the top ones are still taking decent chip. So, I mean, Bravado, they're still losing map control slowly but surely. But, big fight.
They do find out. What happened there?
He relocated out of the call before the call happened. That was a really sick play from the IO.
Sin
Wow.
5 doesn't want to give him up, and Fearbender Traxian getting out. I mean, I saw IO for a glimpse, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
I thought he was actually dunked. I didn't hear the animation go through. But surviving through it, they're going to actually be able to translate this into a Tier 1, and PVD not going to be able to defend it. So, I mean, almost being a whiff to actually taking down the Tier 1 tower for free, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, managing to find all 3 Tier 1 towers in a position that they're in, they're behind comfortably, is really, really good here for the side of Sinister 5. They're going to control the map a little bit more. This will allow them a chance to sort of catch up. And the more space they can create, Gerald can get his Aghanims online. He can get a gem from there. That's all pretty scary stuff. Ooh, Nabi. He's going to be swapped. He's in trouble.
Oh, the missile comes out. Sunstrike is there. Shadow Word going to be chipping away. He's going to ulti up. The Ice Path off the mark. Tornado. X marks the spot. Nabi actually not getting torrented out there. A little bit of a misplay from Mikasa. But 2-5 is there to clear out. He gets the call off on RT and not going to be enough. Dunk goes the second. And now Sinister 5 being punished and being caught completely out of position there.
Now, I mean, it's all fine and well that they manage to find objectives, but if they're losing fights this far, they're going to be very underfarmed in comparison to that of Bravado, who are going to slowly start gaining a significant lead at the stage, and that's they're making their lives a lot more difficult. I feel like this is a very different Sinister 5 than what we saw in Game 1. They sort of doing... It's like their draft. It seems not too certain. They're not too certain about anything. Oh, Relocate coming onto RDK here in the bot lane.
Well, the TP comes in from Mikasa. Can they actually find down RDK? The X is there. The rock comes down, baby. The boat is out. All aboard, baby. Newbie, he's going to get stunned up. Relocate is there. Call not going to be good enough. And now only Mr. Gerald is going to be the one surrounded by the squad of BVD. And the Relocate saving out Mr. Nabi. Unbelievable play. I mean, I thought for certain he was down. And that Relocate came in from absolutely nowhere to save the day.
That was just lucky. I mean, he relocated in, so it relocated him out at the moment that the call happened. it was so close to being a disaster.
Well, when I say unbelievable play, I'm saying unbelievably lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky play.
Like Gary Player said, the more you practice, the luckier you get. So keep that in mind.
keep playing some golf. So, right, so the boys from BVD, they decide, right, well, let's get some objectives under their belt, take down the tier 1, instantly smoke up, and RDK TP's out. They TP to the top shrine, maybe trying to see if they can actually find a pick-off here. They do have Fearbender and 2-5 in the vicinity. Blink is up on 2-5 now, so they got a bit of an opportunity to get a jump here as the Night Stalker is in the bot lane, the Jakiro is in the top lane, so they could... Well, they've got quite a bit of chip damage done here to this mid-tier 1 as well. They're going to pop out Glyph, force the side of BVD to stay in the vicinity a little bit longer. 2-5 gets spotted out. And, yeah, I mean, things... Oh, that Fatal Bond's just missing Reaper in the top lane. Impact actually coming out just to defend this. And it seems like things have gotten a little bit slow for the moment. 16 minutes in, 2-12. And the game is shaking and baking. For those of you that have just joined us, welcome. We do have the side of Sin 5 up 1 game against BVD, the powerhouse BVD, and Sin 5 are really taking names and chewing bubblegum.
Yeah, of course. For those of you who have just joined us, it's 1 game in favor of Sinister 5.
I mean, that is massive.
I can't say it enough right now.
Say it again.
1 game to Sinister 5 over Bravado.
Say it one more time.
1 game to
1 game to Sinister 5 versus BVD. So, I mean, things have slowed down a little bit. It doesn't look like Nubby's feeling too confident to jump into the Rosh Pit. A little bit quicker Midas timing on the Invoker than what RDK had in the first game. He's got his Midas at a really good timing. I mean, I checked at 30 minutes in and he already had it. RDK had, I think, was about to just pick it up. So a lot better of a tempo game for the side of BVD. Looking really strong. 10 kills ahead. And looking at already putting some more tier 1 damage being brought down. So Sinister 5 allowing them the space now, allowing BVD to take their objectives.
Yeah, they're looking to trade some chip damage, but I mean, they're not really in a good position to fight here. I like the intent that they're not giving up on sort of their goals. Oh, call.
Oh, the call does come in. Finds out Nami. Sunstrike is there. Blade Mail being popped out. 2-5. Can he find more? Another beautiful other relocate coming out from the IO. That one wasn't like that was well played.
Yeah, but IO should die. Is he trying the TP technique? Oh, his TP's on cooldown. There's no way. Oh, is it? No, he does.
No, he goes down.
Yeah. So it's a sad day for him, but a good save. I mean, Nubby can't afford to really die again. He's 1-3, which you don't really want. He managed to also, if he died there, he would have lost his Blink Dagger. So the fact that he got time to buy the Blink Dagger is a small saving grace. So now he's going to have a little bit of an engagement ability, or ability to engage in these team fights, which is going to significantly help with the situation that Sinister 5 have found themselves in. But Bravado have just got such a nice lead, almost comfortable lead. Once this Ags is up on Soda, things are going to start to look more and more dreary for them.
Well, I mean, Soda's trying to build towards that Ags. He hasn't got it up yet. He's got it queued up. Impact trying to, is he going to start building into Ags, our Warlock, or do you think he's going to maybe go for a 4-star, something just to try and kite around the Ursa? Because, I mean, you get the Ursa jumping in, he's going to want to try and find the softer, squishier, big impact support players. Or do you think it's going to be the Ags Warlock?
I think he might want to go for Refresher. He's actually going for, 4-star. Okay, 4-star is pretty useful. I think one of the things you must consider, here's position 5. He's not looking to get significant farm, and it's not really all that necessary. A lot of people say, oh, but Warlock needs farm. He can't win without farm. That's untrue, but
Oh, beautiful swap coming in from RDK as he gets TP'd in there. Fearbender couldn't do anything, and now X is out onto the Ursa. The Golem is trying to hit way, and Gerald pops out the shrine. The Golem does go down. RDK throws out the stun. 2-5 there with the 2-man call, baby. Deafening Blast comes out. X marks the spot. They may lose RDK. Is it going to be enough? Fatal Bonds is doing its work. Can they keep him alive? Shadow Work doing enough work. The work happening here is ridiculous. I know I said work a lot, but I mean, stuff was happening there.
Yeah, the boats, man. That was really nice. It was well set up. They used Golem. They lost Golem there pretty quickly, but at the end of the day, they find a kill. They back themselves out. And if they get the kill onto the Leshrac, who's fortunately only purchased his Bloodstone now, hasn't lost any charges on it. But from now on, every time the Leshrac dies, it's going to be a massive loss for them.
That's a true point. I mean, if he had picked up his Bloodstone, I think if he had it, he would have picked it up. But I mean, RDK on point, getting that swap off. It was literally here, TP in here, and then the swap instantly just comes out from RDK and eradicates Fiabenda. Maybe a little bit of a misplay. Maybe he should have rather TP'd back in a better position. But it didn't happen.
There's a ward here and hasn't been dewarded yet. That's a big problem inside the base, and that's what gave the vision for that swap and to the demise of Fiabenda. The fact that they haven't dewarded this or realized that there might have been a high ground ward is a bit of an error coming out from Sinister 5 here.
2-5 impact is going to get spotted out, but the blink comes in from Nabi, and the Ice Path is going to call 2-5 there. The Earth does come in. The Sunstrike is down. Mikasa, he's trying to avoid the Reaper. They eventually do get the kill on 2-5. X marks the spot out onto the Jakuru, and now the fight in the mid lane where we lose Gerald, trying to just keep the rest of the side of BVD preoccupied, and now Gerald biting the dust to Soda, but I suppose really splitting the team fight well and obtaining the cause.
Yeah, and Roche is going to spawn now as Nabi walks out. 2 seconds, and he's going to spawn. So this could have been a great time for them to actually pick up a Roche for themselves. But okay, Fiabenda's going to scout this one out. But so will the Sunstrike.
Soda, they know it. They know what's happening. The TPs come in. They're going to try and defend it. This is going to be a big team fight. Hold on to your hats. And okay, well, all right. I overhyped that. I overhyped that. Sorry.
There was a splash. But the fact that both teams know that Roche is up now is going to be under contention. They know that there's an Ursa who can mop it up pretty quickly. The Leshrac as well is very good at assisting in that sort of scenario. So both teams will want to keep a pretty good eye on that situation. And I think it's pretty imperative here. We saw in Game 1 how big Roshan was for the side of Sinister 5. So Bravado not going to look to give away that advantage this time around.
No, absolutely not. I mean, let's take a quick look while the game is like in a stalled position at the moment. Looking at our graphs, sitting in favor of BVD, not by a huge margin, but enough to count. They're sitting with around about a 4,000 lead advantage in terms of XP. Also sitting advantage of BVD. Also not a drastic advantage. Remember, we do have Soda with the Midas, so it does improve his XP as well as his net worth. For the side of Sin 5, they don't really have that gold hand to help them out. But they do get spotted out here. 2-5 actually finds him. Nice call waiting for them to come up to the high line. The Ice Path is down. Macrofire's out. Deafening Blast coming out. Fighting under the rock. The ball comes out from the Meteor. And Sunstrike trying to find a kill. And the Nabi gets stunned out. Split Earth trying to find that impact. He gets dodged out. They lose Traxian. They lose Gerald. 2-5 is down on the deck. RDK is down for the count. And Traxian gonna get X'd out, but the relocate still trying to find him, and Mikasa picks up the bounty rune and gonna turn around. Fiabenda, he gets X'd out as well now. Jewel Breath gonna be there, and the Torrent gonna hold him in place. Picks up the kill on Mikasa, and Mikasa goes down. Repo, you beast.
Yeah, this was just a really good fight. They did force the buyback on the IO, but he made a very good movement inside. He relocated himself in very quickly, managed to keep some sort of sustain in the team fight and help them out quite significantly there. So it was definitely worth their while. Now there is a chance for them to actually put some pressure onto a tier 2 tower, which has already taken significant chip damage. And having level 4 up, of course, in Diabolic Edict is going to make this a quick work of this. With the Jakiro at his side, it's this shouldn't be too slow. But Impact, he's moving in. Seems like they're just going to be happy with the chip damage, which is fine. I mean, they had finally had a successful fight, and they're going to secure Roshan, which is really big for Sinister 5.
I mean, we've got Nabi, he's back into the pit. Going to try and see if he can pick himself up the Aegis. They do have a high ground ward here, so they're probably expecting to go in there. Unless he blinked in, I actually wasn't watching, but now they definitely see Traxian linked up and gives vision. Aegis is picked up, and Nabi walks out with the Aegis, going to give them a big advantage here. Do the side of Sin 5 now actually decide to push high ground? What do they do from here?
Well, I think this might be a tactical pause. Okay, no, it seems like we got a DC. So, I mean, they could definitely be looking to take high ground with this, or they could look to make some sort of trades. There's still tier 2 towers standing up. They want to maybe bring down tier 2 towers, sort of restrict the farming potential that Bravado have by shutting down their jungle, maybe cleaning up that themselves. So any sort of net worth gain that they're going to get with this time that they have the Aegis online, I think they're going to throw the cheese over to the Leshrac as well, and then they're pretty tanky, but I don't think they're going to take too much of a risk of maybe going high ground or something of that sort.
Aegis completely changes the game. This is going to be Rosh 2, so they should have actually picked up cheese as well. Did Nabi pick up the cheese as well? It's in his stash as well. I'm not sure. Is there a cooldown still on cheese to bring it out of the stash? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it will be
So
6
there's
seconds.
still
Yeah,
a cooldown on it.
I think he more than likely gives it over to the Leshrac. One of the heroes that rely heavily on having a big mana pool. I think that's more than likely the direction he'll look to be going. And I mean, the Leshrac's also got 16 charges now on his Bloodstone, so I must say this, ever since the Bloodstone got picked up by Leshrac, the fights are looking far better in the favor of Sinister 5, and this can sort of snowball out of control if Bravado don't spit a stopper on it.
What do they do? What is that stopper? I mean, because 225, he's got the blink, he's got the blade mail. I feel because 225 is the big engager, he's your front tanker, he's your front liner. What kind of items can we expect to pick up? Is he going to pick up the pipe? Does he go the shivers? Does he go the Crimson Guard? What? Maybe even a 4-staff just to kite Nabi around.
Yeah, it's definitely he's queued up the 4-staff, but
Oh, look at that!
Yeah.
I wasn't even paying attention.
I think another pretty good item is the Lotus Orb for him, because the silence from the Nightstalker is very, very extended and is very difficult to deal with. There's also sort of implications of the of potentially getting the Fury swaps off. I think it does remove Fury swaps. I could be mistaken there, but it's still quite a strong item. It's going to give him armor plus all the regen that you get from it. It's got a pretty decent build up, but I think 4-staff is absolutely necessary. Like you say, if you can cut around Nabi and deal with him in the team fight, that means he's not going to have too much of an impact and sort of put that pressure as we would expect.
Right, well, Axe, he's going to be a big factor jumping in there trying to get those big plays off. Looking at the rest of the side of BVD, who else can we expect big things from, or should see big things from?
Well, I think it was definitely an Invoker. He's got Ags up, Boots of Travel. He's going to be very mobile around the map, and he's going to be able to put pressure wherever he please. Other than that, I think the Warlock is always a major concern, something that we should always keep an eye on. I mean, a drop Golem is very impactful, but if it's misplaced, that's a very nice time period for the side of Sinister 5 to work around, which is exactly what they did. They realized, okay, Rock's down, we know what the cooldown on Rock is. If we win a team fight now, we can take Roche, and that's exactly what they did, and they did a great job around that. So, yeah, I think Warlock, it's definitely going to be up to how he drops his rocks. Other than that, his impact on team fights is always significant with both Upheaval and the Fatal Bonds.
When do you think would be the right moment to drop the rock? I mean, as soon as Nabi gets involved, or do you wait for the Leshrac to actually make the engagement?
I think you're happy with dropping it on Nabi when he throws his ulti. As soon as his ulti's on, you drop it on him. Yes, you're not going to be dealing a lot of damage, but it also means he's not going to be dealing damage in that time period, and he'll rather run than initiate, and you can very easily turn that fight around.
Right, well, the game is unpaused. The cheese does go to Fearbender. He's looking like he's going to build up into the Yules as well. Maybe seeing Ags a little bit later from Fearbender. It has actually been reworked. Going to give him a lightning pulse when that does happen. But X marks the spot up onto Nabi. He does get torrented out. They're going to try and keep him alive. The Upheaval is going to be thrown down by Impact. Here comes the swap from RDK. They catch out Fearbender. Isn't enough, but the save relocate comes in. Clutch relocate. Soda goes down to the split earth, and Fearbender is back in it. And now Nabi, he is taking a little bit of punishment here, trying to right click down Mikasa. They find him, and RDK, he's going to get X out, not going to find the kill on RDK. And boy, oh boy. The call comes back in. 2-5 catching to the rock. It looked like the rock came down. No, that's Aegis being thrown out, and the rocket does come down. They clear out Fearbender, and now having to get themselves out of there. Nabi under attack, being completely chased on and going on, and the rest of the side of Sinister 5 actually not even doing anything to help out. And the Bloodstone charges from Fearbender, instant respawn. Or did he TP out? He did instantly respawn, eh?
Yeah, instant respawn. So, I mean, he died there, which is pretty bad, but he's back down to 12 Bloodstone charges, not the end of the world. And I think it's exactly what I said. I didn't expect them to go for high ground, and they did, and it didn't really pay off too well. They lost the Aegis, they lost a bunch of Bloodstone charges on the left track. I think maybe a little bit overzealous. I don't think it was all that necessary for them to overextend such, but it's I suppose they live and they learn. They're probably not going to make the mistake again, but making a mistake against Bravado, they are going to punish you. And this is it looked really promising for Sinister 5. Now all of a sudden they're back in the back seats again, and they got to wait for the next Roshan and have a successful rotation. It was already a difficult task for them to secure that Roshan, and now all of a sudden they find themselves, all right, we're back to where we started, even though we worked so hard to get to where we were, or are.
Yeah, it makes it tough. You know, you get to the point where you've picked up things that are going really well for you, and you know, you expect things to go a little bit better for you going up at the high ground. But even with them not being able to push up high ground, the net worth difference at the moment is 2.6 at a 30-minute game. I mean, the teams are fighting really close together, and I would say that both these teams are very equally matched.
Yeah, I agree. Big smoke play coming out here from Bravado. They're going to see if they can find Fearbender, who is, well, very, very alone. And I don't see him surviving this one.
No, 225 phones him up, gets the call off, and he goes down to the big dunk. But they find Fearbender, and he goes down again. That is going to really hurt his Bloodstone charges.
Yeah, there we go. Drops all the way down to 8, of course, from there. And that's not what they want. I mean, again, sort of finding themselves in that same situation where we had a decent shot at this, and we made an error, and now all of a sudden he gets caught out. Not seeing anyone on the map, maybe should have made him aware, okay, they might be rotating. We got no real vision anywhere. And here we go. Bravado looking to take some more objectives as they find the Tier 2 tower.
Oh, they take down the Tier 2. Next objective, mid-Tier 2 is down as well. Probably from this point in time, and maybe look at taking down the top Tier 2 as well. And then there is nothing stopping them from going in and getting megas should team fights go really well for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And things are, I mean, they're slowing down a little bit here, but this just only favors the side of Bravado. If they just keep on farming, they control the map the way that they do. Fearbender, he's forced to farm in the jungle, but we can see how the wards have been placed. They have a very, very good idea of where Fearbender is at all times. If they kill him again here, he's going to be set back so far that it's almost going to be an impossible task to sort of find those Bloodstone charges again.
I mean, what do Sin 5 do at the moment? We've kind of painted it at the situation that, right, well, they've defended the high ground. They lost the Aegis. They lost the cheese. And Fearbender is now sitting on a dismal 8 Bloodstone charges. I mean, he's getting really punished. And BVD, they're pretty happy. They're pretty happy the way the situation's going. They've got the Rock. They've got big abilities to work with. They've got a lot of abilities from the Invoker. Sinister 5 need to be very cautious of how they actually make things happen. I mean, do you think it's the Night Stalker showing? He's now eventually got his eggs now up in line. He's trying to pick up the gem as well. So the vision game is going to be reduced a lot for the side of BVD very, very soon, as soon as he's got enough for the gem. But, I mean, 30 minutes into the game, just picking up his eggs, not feeling like he completely did enough for his team just yet. What can we expect?
Yeah, it's going to be very essential for him to be in any sort of situation. Oh, top lane, they're looking for a kill here on Mikasa, who should die. I don't see him surviving this one. So a nice Bloodstone charge here for Fearbender, as he finds that one for himself. Nice setup there with the Eels, managed to just get the Split Earth down and easily mop that one up. So they finally make a decent trade, but still a long time until Roshan's up, and I think that's definitely where their eyes are going to need to be. You make a great point. I mean, it's still 2 minutes of night. They can really utilize... Oh, there we go. Invis Rune onto Gerald is pretty scary. But, yeah, I don't think he's going to find much if he runs back. He is looking for the Invoker, but Invoker has already ghost walked himself out.
Oh, and he's going to be able to get out of there pretty quickly as well.
Yeah, so no big concern there for them. I expect Gerald to definitely be instrumental in the team fights, and I also find it very important for Sinister 5 to, if they do cross the river, they need to be doing it at night time, and if they're on their side of the map, they need to make sure they are very aware of where their opponents are at all time.
So it becomes a vision game again. They've got some pretty good vision for both sides around the map, doing really well in trying to scout it out. Let's just take a look at the moment. This is the vision for the Radiant. Not too much of the knowledge of what's happening in the bottom lane, and eventually the Fearbender does just see 225 by the skin of his teeth, but he's actually going to go in, throws down the Yules, careful for the turret. The call tries to go off, and not going to be good enough. He does actually pop out the blade mail, but that's not even going to tickle the side of Sin 5. So 225.
Yeah, there was an axe there once.
There was. There was.
That's exactly the initiation that they're looking for. If they can catch Axe out of position, then they know, okay, they don't have an initiator on us. Let's push out the lanes. Let's sort of take control. Let's find our farm back again. We got a Night Stalker. He's got Gem flying out to him now, so now they're going to have far superior vision control. And this is where Bravado need to be careful, as they can very easily lose this lead, and it's a very small lead that they have. Sinister 5 this time have done a great job of making sure they haven't fallen too far behind. And they're not in a bad position here, finding another objective, closing that gap ever so slightly.
Take another tier 1, and objectives are tar. Scarpy, they are tar, my friend.
Yeah, this is I still think that Sinister 5 wanted to do this a little bit earlier, but by all means they're very capable of doing it as the game progresses. BKB is going to be complete on the Leshrac, which is going to be extremely important. If he's able to just survive sort of the torrents, the ships, the tornadoes, the EMPs, which he's going to eat right now. Okay, there he uses himself out of that one. But yeah, he's actually Soda must be careful. Ooh, lucky.
Quick fingers there, Ghost walking out, and he's going to just charge himself out of there. Look how close that net worth bracket is getting. It's almost nothing in it. 32 minutes into the game, sitting 11-22. Very little in it, and it can really go either way. This is a game number 1. Can BVD take a game off Sin 5 to go to the best of 3? If they can't, Sin 5 is going to walk away the victors.
Well, I'm sure we both look to see this go the full distance, but I want to point out something here. The axe, what he has queued up to purchase, is quite interesting, and I want to see it come into act. But jumps into the Roche pit, but gets bashed up by Roche himself.
Roche says, no thank you, my friend. No thank you.
So Ags...
Okay, now this is a highly debated item, okay? Because from the new meta, it's basically said that Axe, if he gets a successful Culling Blade off, everyone in a 750 AoE will receive Battle Hunger plus a 30% reduction.
So here's my counter argument why it's good here. A rock gets dropped. He gets a good Quelling Blade off in there. With Upheaval, then the Battle Hunger is going to slow everyone, including that of the Upheaval. So it makes life very difficult to escape. It's a very big investment. It's a very, very big investment. I'm not too certain about it. I think I wouldn't have minded something like a Lotus Orb or potentially Shadow Blade could have been pretty good. But, I mean, he's going for the Ags. I want to see how it's going to pay off.
This is eventually going to put a lot of our debates, a lot of arguments to rest if the Ags is a viable pickup. Right. So Ags has picked up his core items. He's got the Blink. He's got the Blade Mail. Got the Force Staff. If it's any time to go for the Ags, the time is now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure 225 believes that it's the right item here. There's no reason. He's not a sort of player to joke around. He's definitely going to be playing this as seriously as possible, considering their position. So they definitely have practices. They definitely have a good understanding of how it works. Oh, big smoke blade.
RDK finds out Repo. Switch comes in immediately, but he's forced out. 225 jumps in. The rock is down. Catches 2. Intermediate, the Macropire is out. And the Ice Path catching out 225, not getting enough done. Soda running to the high ground, trying to see if he can bring down Repo. And now BVD in control of this team fight. They lose the Jakiru. They lose Fearbender. They jump into the pit. And now Sin 5 not looking good at all, boys. They didn't have any high ground on that hill.
Yeah, this is looking concerning. Now they lose Roshan. This was the objective that Sinister 5 absolutely needed. Now, with this down, they're in a very tight spot. The most important thing that they have is that, okay, it's nighttime. Okay, it's nighttime obviously because of the LT was used by Gerald, but if they need to control vision very, very, very importantly, it's 30 seconds until night, so they'll have decent vision of any sort of potential engagement. And I think that was just RDK with a really nice play, gets a swap out quickly, and that forced everyone sort of into a good position. And that ship, followed by the meatball, followed by the rock, all was just well played out by Bravado.
Yeah, they blew up Fearbender and the Jakura next to follow.
Yeah.
Impact opting to go for a 40-minute Midas.
That's interesting. I think he's just looking for level 20, so he's just probably doing it for the XP. But I don't know if it's all that worth it at this stage of the game. I mean, Hanamidas is just so damn expensive, and to make your money back is going to take you so much time. Unless they're expecting this game to go on for 80 minutes, I don't know how good it's going to be for him.
Mid lane swap comes in onto Repo. The dust is out. Impact trying to find it, but the X is there. The ice path is down. Boat comes out and Repo bites the dust. Impact getting chased out here by Nabi. Is there enough to actually bring him down? X marks the spot. Not going to be good enough. And the courier flying out. Do they take care of it? And he's going to just do a quick run by. And now Nabi turns his attentions onto RDK, but not going to be good enough. RDK getting out of there as well. And
they got the courier. They killed the courier.
Did they manage to get the courier?
Yeah, someone blinked up and managed to secure that one. So a big loss, but that is Ags up on the Ursa, so his ulti is going to be pretty useful, especially when the rock does get dropped. He can quickly just cast it to get himself out of a precarious spot. So he's always going to just be able to survive these sort of engagements, which is pretty important. Now I'm sure he's going to be looking for a basher whenever it is possible. But high ground, I think, is the goal here for the side of Bravado.
Well, they have no high ground wards. Those are down for the moment. And it may look like the position where BVD want to breach and take down high ground. They pop out the glyph. Icepath not going to be able to touch RDK. He's playing very defensive at the moment, but he's trying to see if he can find the swap. It is available. They get the tier 3, and that may just be enough for BVD to be happy with. We do get the blink back from Soda. He may feel that they've done their job. The Warlock, he's nowhere near to be found. He's at the top lane. And the TP comes in here from the side of Sin 5. They may actually look at trying to see if they can push out the top lane. They did rotate Impact there, but in the mid lane, they're going to just right-click down these towers. They don't have to actually find it out. And the Macropire does go down in the top lane. We do not have the tether from the Traxian, and Fearbender has been left by his teammate. Mutiny aboard the Sinister 5 ship. The call comes out from Nabi. They get the kill onto Gerald. And 2 down here from Sinister 5. 3 down from the Sin 5 team. And RDK throws out the magic missile, catching out Traxian, completely leaving Nabi to do what he wants. But once his entire team is down, BVD gonna clean him out. Can they follow up? The magic missile is there. Buyback from Fearbender. Right-clicking down Nabi. He goes down. And buyback here from the team. Sinister 5 trying to make a stand. The BKB is up. They're trying to get away. RDK surviving, very low HP. And he goes down again. Buyback from Fearbender. And I don't know if there's any more gas left in the tank for the side of Sin 5. They get the Xbox, the spot back onto Trixian. He goes down. Repo, this could be another dieback for him as well. And he's just going to be chilling in the base. But BVD broke high ground. Broke the spirits of Sin 5. And Sin 5 tap out. Game 1-1. Either team. This goes to a game 3. Are you ready? Can you take it? We wanted it and we got it.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we hope for. Going into going the whole distance in a best of 3 with 2 teams of this caliber going up against each other. This time around, Bravado just stepping up to the plate and doing a great job at that. I think letting Warlock through was maybe a bit of an error. I think he's got the highest win rate currently, at least in the SAE scene. Very difficult to deal with. And Bravado, I mean, success. They'll be happy with this. Like I said, they're going to keep cool heads about themselves and look to turn this game around, and they successfully did so.
I mean, it was a really close game. Net worths were extremely close. Before we even take a look at the scoreboard, let's just have a look at the net worth. For 36 minutes plus minus, team was neck and neck.
Yeah, that's a very important point that you say there. The fact that Bravado always seem to be ahead, they always seem to be in a pretty comfortable position, but since I've still managed to keep that net worth at bay. It's the same thing that Bravado did in Game 1. Going into Game 2, Sinister 5, they looked they looked decent in a decent position, but at the end of the day, Bravado just managed to shut it down. They didn't really make too many errors and managed to control the Roche pit, which was quite essential this time around.
Yeah, I mean, they really did need to control that rush pit, having the Ursa, not having a Slaughter to really take it for the side of the tire. Sinister 5 maybe lacking a little bit in composure. They had a really good start, and then BVD just kept on chipping away.
I feel like when Sinister 5's draft came through and I saw what they had, it didn't seem very very similar to what I expect from what I expected from them, considering. But it was, I suppose it's not the end of the world. The fact that they draft, it seemed okay on paper, but it wasn't what they've been successful with, if that makes any sense to you.
Well, I mean, the Ags did get picked up by 2-5. Didn't really see it in action that much, but obviously that big team fight they took pushing higher ground must have had an impact towards the outcome of the game. We didn't mention it much, didn't see it in action as BVD broke high ground, but it was a big step for BVD. They're gonna be able to take it to a best of 3. And wow, our next game is supposed to start at 9 with Energy versus XD. They're going to have to put a hold on that so we can get through game number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. So it seems like that's going to be at least a little bit delayed. So we might have a bit of a long night. But, I mean, man, we're spending the whole night casting Dota. What more could we ask for?
Well,
what more could we ask for?
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to give you guys a 5-minute break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to get the game up very soon. We don't really want it to go all night, and we will bring you guys the action. So don't go far. Don't disappear. We will be back very, very soon.
Cheers.
Right, and welcome back. Game BVD and Sinister sitting 1-1, going the full 9 yards. Gonna take the game to the full best of 3. Absolutely chaos is happening on our side here.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I was hoping for. We knew what we were getting ourselves into when we started casting this game. We knew that it could go to a best of 3, and yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I mean, two teams that are looking really strong, looking to be really competitive up against each other, taking it the full mile. What more can we ask for, really?
No, absolutely. And the team that's waiting to go up next, the 9 o'clock team, Energy vs XD, they're just going to have to wait in line and wait for us to get done here. But currently, Bravado took it back in game number 2, was very tight. The networks were really close. And eventually, this is where we sit, game 1-1. The draft has begun. They've already banned out the bristleback. Obviously, not letting Sinister get Nubby on that bristleback again.
Yeah, they realized it was a major problem for them. It sort of messed up their laning stage in game 1. And by all means, ban out that bristleback. We see the Keeper of the Light also being banned out. It was also quite a nuisance in game 1. And they sort of... It again sort of shows the Sinister 5 they're not going to change their game plan. They're definitely going to stick to it. But will Bravado be able to do the same and sort of make their lives a misery like they did in game 2? Or can Sinister 5 pull some sort of trick out the hatch here and close this best of 3 out?
Well, very similar bans. The Death Prophet being banned out had a good run for Sinister 5.
Yeah.
Kind of seemed that... that Fearbender was getting quite a bit done on the Death Prophet. Didn't do as well on the Leshrac as what they hoped.
Yeah.
Tried to run it mid. Didn't have the same impact. Got caught off guard many times. But yeah, this leaves first pick again, BVD. Do we see another Warlock quickly?
It has to be, right? I mean, Warlock won them game 2. Warlock is just the strongest hero of this patch. There's no reason why Bravado don't pick him up. Oh, what?
Oh, wow. Okay, Darks, yeah. Right, so this hero... our previous competition in our SA scene didn't have the best showing.
Yeah.
He had like a win rate of something like 17% at one stage.
Yeah, I believe he won there was a time where he won one game in 8 that he played in. It was just abysmal showing. But then again, it depends which team picked him up, if the draft synergized pretty well. He's still a pretty good pick. And they go for the Night Stalker again. Do they let the Warlock still slide? Okay, Warlock Oracle. What?
Okay, they've completely blown us out of the water. There's so many picks that we would have expected to see. So, Darks have been picked up for Bravado. Legion being banned out. They've now picked up the Night Stalker. Oracle as well. Now, Oracle, great at debuffing, good at keeping your cause alive. Maybe they're trying to bait BVD into the Warlock pick. They do get it. Fatal Bonds is going to be popped down, so they've got something to actually debuff the Fatal Bonds, the Shadow Word. We've spoken about this. How do you counter the Warlock? So maybe Sinister 5's expecting the Warlock, trying to draw BVD into picking up the Warlock. And does it seem like they've fallen into the trap?
I don't know. I think still this favors Bravado. Yes, I understand the Warlock is going to have trouble sort of harassing in lane. But that's not the real problem with the Warlock, right? He wins lane, yes, but B, his main influence is in the mid game with the ability to just drop the rock, upheaval, fatal bonds, all just extremely powerful abilities. I don't
Imagine
know.
this scenario: Vac wall into rock.
It's brutal.
Like, now, do you combo that up with maybe like a Magnus, perhaps? Like, just for the fun of it, or do we start looking at maybe your cores that do a AOE area effect, which is Fen has actually been taken out, which would have been really, really good for BVD. So they take out the Sven, but that still leaves the TA in the pool. Could we see a mid Soda TA?
Yeah, TA still pretty good. I don't think they want to pick it up too early. It's easy to sort of cancel that lane or make it difficult for them to farm. But of course, TA is really strong with the ability to farm the stacks in the jungle very quickly. Other than that, I mean, they still have things like Phoenix, which has been underused, I feel, in the South African scene. That's really strong here. It looks really good for Bravado. It's something that I know they also do run. That is quite scary. They also could potentially just do the OD. And whenever Oracle ultis someone, they just imprison him, worry about him later, and then deal with it when it comes to that time. So, I mean, these are all things to consider. I like the ban on the Huskar. That would have been cheeky. That would have been the first time I've seen Huskar in ages. But they actually don't let him through, unfortunately.
Oracle really combos up nicely with Huskar. Obviously, Dazzle hasn't been picked up, but still, I mean, you've got those sustains. Really works well with
Oracle is incredible with Huskar. In Dota 1, I can remember when Oracle's ulti would also make you invisible. Even while you're hitting, you stayed invisible. It was the stupidest thing on this side of the planet. But even now, I mean, the ability to freeze his HP at something, even though he's healing and regening, and he does all that damage in a quick succession, and all of a sudden he's full HP and ready to fight again, is just really impossible to deal with. So, I mean, I like the fact that they banned it out. But again, the IO, I must say, Traxian's IO
was on point.
I was in love. That was beautiful.
I was in love.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, IO being picked up, Traxian playing it did really well. Relocates, like, second to none. Some of them were really lucky. Some of them was really skill-based. And it worked. It got stuff done.
Yeah, absolutely. The IO was pretty good, but, I mean, they go... This is... Oh, the Wombo combo is disgusting now. So now your story can grow.
So there's my Magnus.
Vacuum wall, ship,
torrent,
rock, torrent,
bonds,
dead,
upheaval. Look, there's already for the 3 players here for the side of BVD has got a lot of Wombo combo. Now the question is, can BVD actually perform that? They are one of the squads that can actually make that happen.
Yeah.
The question is, will Sinister 5 fall into that trap? Will they bunch? Will they be willing to expend their ulti for, say, 2 heroes being caught out? Are they willing to commit? Because once you've blown that, Kunka's got a little bit of right click. Once his Tidebringer's up and running again. Warlock, he's going to be sitting in the backlines trying not to get hit out. So I feel that maybe once Bravado throw their load, is it going to be enough?
Yes. I think it's hard to go against Fatal Bonds, right? I mean, if you're putting all that damage output down, it's only amplified by Fatal Bonds, so it's significantly more each fight. The real question is, do Sinister 5 get caught in sort of 5-man situations, poorly positioned? I feel like Traxian will not be caught in those situations. He plays IO pretty well on the outskirts, making sure he can get people out safely. He did a great job. I think in the previous game when he went for the bot lane with the Leshrac, they X-marks the Leshrac so that when they relocated, they pulled him back instantly and he was stuck there by himself. That could have changed the entire game. It was actually quite a sweet play coming out from Mikasa. And that's the big concern, right? They pick up the IO, and then Kuka gets picked up for that exact reason. Just to, if you want to relocate in or relocate out, you're not going to get that individual out no matter what, because he's just going to X-marks him right back into the fray. So...
Right, well, Sin 5, they go to the Wraith King. Absolutely difficult to work with. I mean, you've got quite a bit of mana pool, nothing to actually deal with it. Does this maybe open up the opportunity for the Invoker? It does. EMP, a big thing to deal with for Wraith King. Easily takes away the mana. Maybe Sinister should have maybe predicted that the Invoker would have been picked up, considering how much team fight they've got. Trying to band out the Invoker, something that will actually do well against the Wraith King. But look, AIM's still in the pool. I think maybe that's what Sin 5 need to actually ban out. Ban out the AM. Avoid the fact that you take away Wraith King's mana pool.
I think they might, but I think they're just going to say, well, Invoker's already such a big concern right now. So they actually go for the Slark, which Slark would just destroy their lineup. Absolutely just eat through everyone. And it also could mean they're picking up a TA for Fearbender, which could turn things around very quickly here. Could potentially be the Puck. I don't know how often he does run that. But, I mean, this is... it just looks like a far weaker draft for Sinister 5 in comparison to that of Bravado. Bravado just a dominant... And if they pick up Anti-Mage here, I think you're right. It's almost sort of set in stone how the laning stages are going to go. He's got very good defensive supports and so on. So I think Anti-Mage is definitely a option for Bravado.
He's also a natural Battle Fury carrier.
Yeah.
So you get the Vac wall off, you get them all stuck in the middle there, on the rock, on the boat, torrent out, and AM can actually deal with him pretty well. Sven would have been better, but now it forces, if they do pick up the AM, it's going to be a Battle Fury. If it's not the AM, what else could BVD actually put on RDK to actually pick up these big kills? Look, I mean, Morphling is generally one of the biggest banned heroes against RDK. We haven't seen that yet this evening. And I mean, a lot of these heroes have very low HP pools. You get an EV into a wave, onto an adaptive strike, and you are going to be pretty much dead.
Yeah, that's quite true. I think it's difficult to say what the outcome is going to be here. The ability to get decent amount of damage. I think if you do go anti-mage, you're going to go for him split pushing, right?
No.
And you're going to say, okay, well, the four of you are more than good enough to fight, and you're going to force all 5 of Sinister 5 to either defend or lose objectives. And while you're doing that, anti-mage just farms, and then all of a sudden he rears his ugly face into a team fight, and everything just falls apart dramatically. But we don't know. They obviously pondering
They
hard.
also don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, 57 minutes into reserve time, that is a huge amount of time to actually make a decision. So, okay, so we theory crafting that AM's probably going to be the main pickup here for BVD. Sin 5, I think we concur that it's probably going to maybe be a TA. Did we decide that? What was Fearbender's mid? No, TA was actually going to be for Sodon.
They might just go for the Lesh again. It's the fact that they have the IO, the Oracle. They might just go for the Lesh track again and see if it works, but I don't know.
I feel they lack right click.
Yeah. No, they go Wraith King. He's decent at right clicking, and I think the more common build these days is 1-1-4 on him. So there's odds of him getting double crits down and so on in the laning stage, and then going into the late game. But I mean, again, Wraith King is just going to be kited around, which is back to the same. Oh wow, okay.
All right, so they choose the Jugger.
That can do a lot of damage into. Oh, there we go. I like that. I like that a lot more.
You actually did mention it.
Yeah.
That, but I think you mentioned it
for Bravado. Yeah.
So it came out for Sinister 5. Let's see if it is going to be enough. Guys and girls, for those of you that are just joining us, this is going to be game number 3 of BVD versus Sin 5, both sitting 1 apiece. And, I mean, at this point in time, we've seen some amazing showings from both teams. Quick predictions.
Well, I think I can't go against Warlock. I think Warlock is just too strong with this patch. I think there's no real answer. They got 3 defensive heroes, but it's difficult to sort of sustain the Wraith King consistently. Yes, Io is going to be able to feed him a decent amount of mana, so I have to go with Bravado off the bat here.
Well, there you go. We expect BVD to walk away with the victory. Never count out Sinister 5, though. If I do recall, does the Arcane Orbs from OD do extra damage to the Golem?
Yes, I believe so. Summon. So that is a pretty decent answer. But I mean, the Golem's really, the impact of it is the initial drop, and then you might want to get yourself out of dodge, you know. So yeah, I think the OD is going to be used defensively to imprison someone so we can get out when the Golem's down, and we play with the time when the Golem's on cooldown. So I think that's more than likely going to be the goal. Yes, actually they can bring down the Golem pretty quickly, but it's going to be a tough ask, for sure.
I mean, okay, so we got the Astral Imprisonment on the OD. going to be really difficult to actually stop the Omni Slash from the Jugger coming out. Is it enough, or are they going to maybe look to some other items, different play styles, to try and avoid the Omni Slash? Because you're going to have the Oracle that's going to be trying to keep alive your cores. You've got the IO that's going to be trying to keep your cores alive. Is it going to be enough?
Yeah, that is, of course, the big question, right? And I think, like, the IO played just so well previous game. I don't expect anything different. Do they have a smoke this summer? Okay, they got a smoke. They might just go aggressively once again to secure a rune and maybe look for a fight into RDK on this Juggernaut. But yeah, there we go. The smoke does come through. They're going beaming it for that rune. But this time, a big defense is set up here by the side of Bravado.
This time around, see, I swear it's like they kind of expect these certain plays. Now, BVD setting up for this high ground defense, the side of Sinister walking onto this high ground. They're going to actually miss it out. They do smoke right around. Do they wrap around? Oh, they're going to smoke up as well. Oh, this is going to be Fear Bender. He's actually leading the charge. Okay, it breaks. The smoke is down. But Soda, he actually does get high ground vision of them. He pings them out immediately. And now the side of BVD know exactly the movements of Sin 5. And they do have the high ground advantage. RDK does actually have the shell on him. He's going to Blade Fury up. This could be first blood. Does Nabi go down? He does. First blood going in favor of BVD. That was super unfortunate there from them, having that high ground advantage and just such simple movement coming out from BVD to actually get themselves that first blood.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is IO's not getting a rune. Unless, okay, it's going to be a double rune for Gerald at least. But no rune for the IO. That means his bottle's going to be slightly delayed in the laning stages, which is pretty bad. I mean, that's the only way that they're sort of staying alive. And he also used his Fairy Fire in that team fight, so he actually has nothing. His inventory is very, very empty. Other than that, I mean, losing your Wraith King right off the bat like that and giving... who actually picked up that kill? It went the way of Soda. That's just huge. With the Sunstrike, that puts him ahead in the mid lane pretty comfortably. So difficult task for them to sort of deal with as we get another pause, unfortunately.
Right, well, for those of you that are just joining us in-game and on stream, welcome. The game is currently sitting 1-1, BVD versus Sinister 5. We're currently streaming from the Mega 8 studios at Urban Brew up in Joburg. We are here in the stream. We're on Stream B, and our compatriots are currently busy with the main stream that's currently being aired on Super Sport. So if you do have DSTV, go and give the guys a shout out, show them your support and show them your love. On the mainstream, APG and XTC will be playing. So if you guys want to go to APG or XTC, do find the mainstream. If you guys want action, blood, guts, glory, stay with us, because that is what is going to happen over here. BVD and Sinister 5, this is going to be fighting for the crown.
Yeah, this is definitely the more interesting game. I don't mean to blow our own horn here, but it's definitely going to be one of the most highly contested ones. Hopefully we get ourselves underway, as time is of the essence. But
well, I mean, we are supposed to be casting our next game in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Energy versus XD. That's the next game that we've got planned up and lined up on the stream. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, fortunately, it's gone to game 3, but we are running a game behind typically. So we're going to bring you guys the action live, straight, and full of upset on our Stream B over here. But I mean, the game is paused out at the moment, waiting for Draxon to reconnect. We're expecting some big plays coming out from BVD. It's tough to see how things are going to actually end up panning out. You've got a huge combo initiation here from the side of BVD. A good blink vac wall into Fatal Bonds. The rock gets dropped. On top of that, Kunkka throws down his boat, got his torrent. If Traxon tries to get anyone out of there, you've always got the X available to make sure they get back in. Big wombo combo from the Invoker. You've got the Meteor, EMP, Deafening Blast, all available to the Invoker. And insult to injury, you've then still got the Jugger that is going to be available to
Yeah.
Right click and hit whatever they see.
His
whatever
Blade
he sees.
Fury is just going to do so much in these team fights. In fact, with the vacuum rock potential. I mean, if we look over at team fight abilities from both sides, Sinister 5 are sorely lacking in team fight. All they have is pretty much the OD, who does pretty well in team fights. Other than that, I mean, Wraith King, he's going to be kited pretty easily, and IO is an enabler only. There's no real other use for him. And Oracle, he too is just going to be played as a sort of defensive role. He can be played aggressively here in the early stages, yes, but as the game progresses, he becomes sort of more and more of a defensive hero. And at the same time, Nightstalker, I mean, the only big thing you get out of him is nighttime vision, the ability to sort of silence for long periods of time. It's just not as flashy as the team fights that are going to be coming out from the side of Bravado.
It's almost a 3 protect 2 kind of strat.
Yeah.
Unless they decide to prioritize Fearbender, he becomes your massive core, and the Wraith King is just going to be there to try and confuse the side of BVD. I mean, in the first game, Nabi played a bristleback. For those of you that did miss it, Nabi played a bristleback, completely ran at the side of BVD. BVD had nothing but to actually try and right-click down the bristleback, and it just wasn't enough because there was just too much from the side of Sinister 5 to actually make it through. This time round, maybe they're going with the same idea. Take down the Wraith King, pop his ulti, get that slow proc, and then Fearbender can come in and get those big right clicks off.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be something for us to keep an eye on. But so far, mid lane's pretty comfortably won so far by Fearbender, but bot lane.
And Nabi goes down, even being latched up. RDK just Battle Furies and gets him second death now for Nabi in the matter of 1 minute. Not looking good for the side of Sinister 5 and need to try and protect. Considering they're trying to play a protect strat, their core's going down quite a bit.
So I like this coming out from Bravado. They opt to go for aggressive lane, realizing, okay, the Wraith King is very, very susceptible to going down very early on, and we have very aggressive sort of supports. And the 1v1 lane of the Darkseer versus the Nightstalker is just one-sided. The Darkseer is just going to crush this lane. Gerald's going to really struggle to find last hits, as the Iron Shell is just so strong up against him.
Well, 2-5, Iron Shells himself up and is just going to run down Gerald. They're going to try and trade a couple of hits, but at the end of the day, 2-5 is probably going to win this little tussle. Well, they're going to try and right-click it out. I mean, Gerald's still not doing too bad. And I think 2-5 tapped out first. I think that was a fair submission.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mid lane is still favorable towards the OD. He's doing pretty well for himself. And, well, bot lane.
Nabi, he gets torrented up. Even pretty decent play, identifying where Nabi's going to be moving to. And they pick up the torrent there. No kills on the back of that. Top lane, though, we do see Traxon coming in, trying to keep Gerald alive. He was going down quite a bit to that iron-shelled Darkseer, 2-5, getting... I mean, the Iron Shell... So, a lot of the discussion was picking up the Darkseer allows you to win your early game. But we felt that they were very underpowered when it got to the late game. And they couldn't... it felt like he was doing nothing. Do you think maybe this time around, BVD knows his strengths, knows his weaknesses to make it work?
I think the fact that I went for this aggressive dual lane definitely sort of favors the Darkseer almost every time, right? And he's getting a good start, and the aggressive tri-lane is having a great start. They've managed to kill Nabi once again, and Nabi, he's can't even walk into lane to farm. He's literally just got his first last hit at 3 minutes in. His life is absolute misery, and here he's in trouble again.
Oh, X marks the spot into Torrent. The root tries to come out, and Nabi is going to go down once again, being absolutely punished by the side of BVD.
Yeah, they're sort of saying, hey, you won a last hit. Come get a last hit. So he gets a last hit and dies immediately for it. So Nabi is under, well, tremendous pressure. He's having an absolutely brutal lane.
X marks the spot dispellable? It cannot be dispelled. So that is an absolute nightmare. I mean, you'd expect maybe if the Oracle could actually land the debuff, dispel the X, at least he's got some form of escape mechanism. It's not helping out. And bot lane is just an absolutely gauntlet for the side of Sinister 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't get Nabi. He can't get away.
Yeah, they sort of got to potentially sack this lane and say, okay, Nabi, just get a Quelling Blade and go jungle. There's not really much he can do here. He did get Vampiric Aura now, so it looks like he might even be considering that. Quelling Blade is queued up for him, and as soon as he can buy that, more than likely going to hit himself into the jungle.
Top lane, 2-5 being chased down here by Traxian and Gerald. Not going to actually pursue further, and 2-5 is going to stay alive. So, what about... Let's theory craft for a second. Right, okay, so bot lane's not working out for the Wraith King. One option, jump into the jungle, sack the lane.
Oh, bot lane again.
Jump into... Okay, well, here comes out a nice torrent, but the Wraith Fire Blast does land onto Mikasa. Blade Fury going to be chasing down Repo. He's enough to get away, but it's not. And RDK picking up kill after kill. Absolutely ridiculous here for the side of BVD. Completely cleaning house. And at this point in time, RDK is sitting with a 2 for 0 for 2 already.
Yeah, that's the same amount of CS as Nabi has at this stage. Okay, you got his third CS there, but I mean, the Oracle has 3 last hits as well. This is just not what you want for your safe lane, and I think this aggressive lane coming out from Bravado was just the perfect response to the draft that Cinesurvive at mid lane. However, a bit of pressure onto Soda, but I don't know if they're going to be able to kill him here. He's actually cold snap up on Gerald. He's taking a lot of damage, and he's in trouble. He's overextended.
X is there. They're going to bring him back. He actually may be able... No. Shadow Word is going to be there. Going to tick him down. And one more tick, and he does go down. Impact picking up the kill. And beautiful rotations coming out from BVD. Getting that beautiful little kill. And Fearbender just... Maybe a little bit of a miscommunication. Because Fearbender actually... Gerald came in, and then Fearbender kind of just left him and said...
yeah.
Like, why are you here?
He realized what sort of situation was happening. And, I mean, bot lane again, trouble for Nabi. Fortunately, the Aya does have some bottle charges, so he'll be able to sustain him a little bit, yeah. RDK must be careful about overextending, but, I mean, RDK has just got phase boots up now, and Nabi's got brown boots. I mean, RDK's got sweet kicks, and Nabi's got some slippers, so it's a tough time.
Well, quick question. Traxian's now got bottle. Is that enough to sustain Nabi for the moment?
Well, he had bottle even before, and as soon as he's sort of caught off, as soon as he gets caught by the Kunkka, which is right now, this situation, actually RDK taking too much damage to actually die for this one, but a Sunstrike on top of it.
Well, Shadow Word going to be used out. Repo, does he choose to actually use the debuff? It's actually on cooldown at the moment, so Nabi going to take quite a bit of damage there. He's going to time out in the next couple of seconds. But Nabi absolutely getting schooled here. Another rotation in mid. We do have Gerald in the vicinity. But Traxian, he gets spotted out, and Soda kind of knows what's happening.
Yeah, so far this is just one-way traffic. I mean, this is the biggest net worth lead. If you look at Game 1 and Game 2, they had like 2k net worth leads at like 40 minutes in. This is 7 minutes in, and it's already a 3k net worth lead towards Bravado. They are looking to be in a far more comfortable position this time around.
Do you think, okay, so considering how the draft, how the game is going, I'm willing to say that BVD won the draft, like, hands down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they got Warlock, and not only that, they got favorable lanes on top of it. So it's just sort of a impossible task here for the side of Sinister 5 to come back from, at least in the laning stages. They're going to have to make it work in the mid game if they want to pull this one back, but they've been set back pretty hard, especially that of the Wraith King.
The Wraith King, so that's a debatable story in itself. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the Wraith King. I mean, obviously we've seen it not have such a big impact. Maybe if they banned out the Slark. Maybe if they picked up the Slark, it could have been a little bit better. Maybe picking up a different kind of core, something with a little bit of escape. The Wraith King, he's this brute that runs around with a stun, or I can right-click you down like the rest of them, but zero escape.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got 2 lives, but, I mean, that's not going to save him in these situations. You are 100% correct. And he's residing now in the jungle to farm. He's got an Iron Talon. That's his biggest item progression now at 10 minutes almost. He's less farmed than most of the supports, I assume.
Well, it's a little bit premature, but let's take a look at player net worths at the moment. And that kind of tells the story in itself.
Yeah, I mean, Wraith King should not be that low down. Just by the draft. I mean, you don't want that to happen. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it, but It's a difficult ask. However, the Night Stalker is finding decent farm. He's not under too much pressure. Yes, he's under pressure of the Darks here, but he's doesn't fare that poorly, especially with Io now supporting him a little bit. So we can see that bit of emphasis now on getting farm on Gerald instead of the Wraith King, who's actually scattered out in the jungle here.
Well, Mikasa, he's got a couple of eyes here on Nabi. He knows exactly what's going on. In the meantime, in the bot lane, though, they looked like they were trying to make a play onto the Oracle, and I think she just TP'd herself out of there before she went down. She did. And Nabi, he spots out Mikasa. They did get Traxin coming in there and getting involved. What?
Stun animation got cancelled. If he stunned onto the Kunkka there could have been a potential kill, but yeah, ooh, Gerald falling really low.
Sunstrike came in from Soda to try and take down Gerald. It wasn't on the mark. So Gerald, given a second chance, given an opportunity to make a difference. But mid lane, though, X marks the spot, comes in for Fearbender. This could be the problem, but Astral Imprisonment is there. Gonna wear out the X, but the Meteor is gonna be good. Gonna be landing. Can Fearbender do enough? And I don't think he can. But Traxian comes in from nowhere, keeping Fearbender alive. X marks the spot, is gonna be there. Gonna be enough to actually keep Fearbender alive. And the gank from Mikasa and Soda, not gonna be good enough today, boys.
Yeah, and my love for this Io just grows ever so much more. I mean, Traxian's playing really good on the Io.
I thought that was a dead Fearbender.
For sure.
The fact that he lived was more hype. The fact than what they killed him.
Yeah.
If they killed him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Io rotation there is just great. Traxian is just on top of his game, and I mean, for a player like him,
Omni Slash available. He does try and bring down Repo, trying to get Purifying Flames through it. Not going to happen, and RDK taking out first date potential for Repo.
But it's 3-0 and 2 on a Juggernaut at this stage of the game. It's not looking good. He's got a decent amount of net worth. Their Invoker's about to hit the Hanamatis. Oh,
yeah, they go. Knight comes out. The Gerald has been tethered up. The Fatal Bonds has been used out. Mikasa reveals himself out of Inverse. They want to make a play here. Impact trying to get out. He's going to be able to get out pretty easy. Sunstrike coming in. Can we see where it lands? We can't. And now Mikasa, he's been getting chased upon. So now all of a sudden, revigored life here for the side of Sin 5. But RDK walks away with another kill on Traxian. Gerald trying to slow him down. Can RDK get out of it? The root not good enough. Juking it with the Blade Fury. He's trying to run it out to Gerald. He's got enough for another Void. He does get it through. And now the support from Mikasa comes through. X marks the spot into Torrent. Gonna catch out Gerald. Back gonna help out. And that's... Oh, wow. Repo coming in, helping out the Night Stalker, keeping himself alive. But I don't know if Night Stalker can get out of here. Can he juke through the trees? Iron Shell getting some work done. 2-5. Oh, X marks the spot. Not going to be good enough, boys. He's going to be brought back. And Gerald goes down to the likes of the wall. No! Traxian is there! That is such a lie. And Traxian gets Gerald out of there. I was selling that was a dead duck.
What? What is this? This Io is it's amazing. And I mean, Gerald's right back in here. 225's under a bit of pressure. Fortunately, he just gets his surge off. But I mean,
what?
It's the story of the evening for sure. This Io is just it's just so good to watch. So good to watch. Why doesn't this man have an Arcana?
He needs an Arcana. In the meantime, Traxian does eventually go down to Soda, as in the mid lane, trying to put a bit of pressure here. RDK gets Astraled out, takes a tiny little bit of damage, and Reaper throwing out that root. Torrent's not going to land in the sidelines. Impact is here. He's got the rock, and he's ready to Dwayne Johnson it. Trying to put some pressure here on the tier 1. Has been glyphed out.
Yeah, this should be a tier 1 tower. I don't see much, but Gerald and Traxian, they are not afraid.
EMP comes down. The link is broken. The X is used. Gerald is the next point of target. Omni Slash not doing enough, but the rock gets dropped. Can you say Johnson? And now they're going to try and shrine it up. Fight under the shrine. RDK silent start. Going to try and get right-click Tatia. And he goes down. Repo. Purifying Flames. Just too good. X marks the spot. He's going to be used out onto Traxian. They lose 2-5. They're trying to bring it around. Isn't enough. Soda goes down as well. Before you know it, 3 down for the side of BVD. 4 down, 5 down for the side of BVD. Full 5-man team wipe. going in favor of Sin 5. Before you know it, 1-8. Now it's 7-8, baby, after the 14-minute mark. Can you believe it?
I don't know what to do with my hands. This is...
Hold the mouse, you're going to miss a shot.
That was just spectacular. They managed to turn their fight around very well. They identified where, okay, if we get the Night Stalker in, silence the right individuals, we can... If the X marks the spot and the rock's down and we get out, we do well. And the Oracle just did such a great job at disabling or slowing down the magical damage that was coming out onto the Night Stalker, meant he could just come back in. So the Fate's Edict was just perfectly used there. And then they just turned it around, and the Odie just sat in the middle there, hitting the right people at the right time, and great fight.
Dropped the hammer at the end, and I mean the Intel stacks that built up on the OD.
Yeah. That was a really nice fight. Once the OD starts getting more points into Arcane Orb, we're going to be a bit more concerned for these team fights if they do go astray like this. But the team fight's still there for BVD. I think it was just maybe a miscommunication a little bit. They seemed a bit jagged, but that's exactly how Sinister 5 won Game 1, with chaos. They create chaos and then come out ahead.
But not only that, but I mean, BVD's draft works better when you have a team bunching.
Yeah.
And because Sin 5 likes these messy, chaotic fights, they're not getting these wombo combos off, and it's not making it easy for BVD to land it. But now Gerald scouting out here the side of BVD. Going to get caught out. He's going to get X marks the spot, but maybe this is the plan. The wall gets dropped. Rush is trying to hit out. They lose traction off the bat. Now Fearbender taking a little bit of damage, fighting under the ball, but the promise is coming out from the poor Oracle, and he's going to go down. They lose Gerald. They lose 2-5, but now we've got the Wraith King. He bites the dust now as well. So 2 minutes ago, we had a full 5-man team wipe going in favor of BVD, and BVD 4-man them right now.
I mean, I'm just stuck in thinking right now.
Like, what was their thinking, maybe?
Yeah.
Gerald maybe trying to get going on, so it uses all those abilities to try and get them off cooldown?
Well, here's the thing. They knew that they were taking Roche. He ran around the side to see who's waiting outside here that we can kill quickly, who won't turn around the fight. He runs around the corner, and there's 4 of them. And he just kept on running, and then he's like, oh goodness. And then,
guys, I found them.
Yeah.
Guys, I found them.
And he feels pretty safe. I mean, Traxion's been playing great on the IO, but now the IO had to overextend and die instantly. And all of a sudden, your saving grace in these team fights is dead. The Oracle dies on the back of that, as the OD is trying to dish out as much damage as he can. It was just the chaos was there, but it was the wrong way around. It was chaotic this time for Sinister 5, and they weren't really in control of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, team fight didn't go as well as what they'd hoped. They thought they can maybe take the team fight, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, but I mean, they did the right thing. They wanted to try and shut down the Roche. They couldn't give the Roche away now to Bravado. So the attempt, the idea was right. The execution, however, was maybe a little bit poor, unfortunately. So yeah.
Well, looking in top lane, looks like they want to actually make something happen here. X marks the spot, has been used out onto Gerald. He's going to get Blade Furied up, and instant relocate coming out from Traxion. Does Traxion come back alone, or does he bring a horde of teammates? The Sunstrike does come out. Timing is a little bit off, and the relocate does come in. They're going to bring Gerald back, and X marks the spot. He's going to be used up on to Gerald again. They want to focus down the Night Stalker. They pull him back, and they're trying to keep him alive. The Torrent's off the mark. Repo trying to keep him alive. He does pop down. A little bit of the Purifying Flames, taking a huge amount of damage there from the Fatal Bonds. But Repo does pay for his sins, and he goes down. RDK fighting under the shrine. Does he have enough? The silence. Is it enough? Could they bring him down? The best chance. The one goes up. The Aegis is down. And RDK bites the dust. But in the meantime, Traxion goes down. And Soda picked up a double kill. And they only lost the Aegis for the side of BVD. But X used once again. And Gerald is going to be brought away. No, he's not. Astral is out. Fearbender keeping alive. But there comes the Tornado. The Iron Shell on RDK. EMP trying to get its work done. Cold Snap. Gerald, you are done, my friend. Poke me with a fork, because you are ready. And now the wall gets dropped down, trying to kind of separate the side of Sin 5 as BVD go down and push down this Tier 2 tower. This could be the opportunity for BVD to start cementing themselves in that lead. X marks the spot, is out again onto Repo. Catches the Torrent. Fearbender being led up here by Trexian. And RDK just easy TP out. 2 to 5. Can he find something? Soda gets dusted out. This could be a big kill here for them. And Fearbender gets a big right click off. But a boat catching out too. Almost a full team. Boat being caught out there. And the relocate is going to be good, getting them out of there. I lie. They're actually looking to be aggressive and TP forward. Can they find 2 to 5? And 2 to 5 actually is in the bushes and gets out of there. So, assuming they were going to be passive, they actually look to be very, very aggressive.
Well, Mikasa's in a tight spot here. He's got no TP on hand. And he's got to try and get himself out of these trees safely. This is going to be a difficult task for him by all means. He actually managed to save his team there with the chip and the torrent. But, yeah, he's stuck in the bushes for at least a decent amount of time. It's going to be difficult for him to escape from here. But I'm sure he has a plan. I'm sure he has some sort of a plan.
I think he's going to wait there, wait for maybe the side of Sin 5 to actually walk back, and then Mikasa's going to say, like, okay, boys, come on, 1v1 me.
Whoa, he's running out. No one's going to scout him. Actually, he's actually walked straight into Gerald.
Well, he gets spotted out. He can't actually get anything done. The Omnislash comes out. He said enough to bring him down. Gerald takes down Kunkka. All you need to do is silence that bugger, and it's easy. But Traxian goes down to the Iron Shell from our 2-5 blokey. RDK not picking up the loss hit there. And, okay, so Gerald actually going toe-to-toe against the Kunkka. Silence him out, and you can deal with the Kunkka pretty easily.
Yeah, that's exactly the goal. And he went for Omelette, so they obviously realized, okay, he's getting more than enough farm now. We're going to put him in that sort of core position. However, he hasn't really been able to translate that into much more farm. But, I mean, he is pretty scary. I like what he's done now. He's picked up just a casual cloak to help him with the magic damage coming out from both the Darkseer as well as the Invoker and the Kunkka. So it's pretty nice. He's going to be even more tanky. We saw how he just managed to tank up an Omnislash, no problem. And
Fearbender in the bot lane. He gets X'd out, gets brought back, astrals himself out, trying to deny the force positioning out here from BVD. The Ice Wall trying to get some work done. X marks the spot, is good again. Bring him back, but he gets astraled out again. He's going to fight under ball. Upheaval's good, but Traxian this time around couldn't do enough to actually keep him alive. And Traxian is going to just be able to get himself out of there with the 10-second cooldown on his relocate. So, Fearbender paying with his life. I mean, big thing I want to chat about is Wraith King at the moment. Not looking good. I mean, you've got your offlaner doing better than your core. This is not the kind of situation you want to be in. And, I mean, I would rather say let Nabi farm completely than try and get involved in team fights.
yeah, I think you can say that, but the team fight ability of Bravado is just so strong that if not all 5 of them, you're definitely losing a fight, and you're definitely losing objectives, you're definitely losing control of your map, and it just starts to get out of control. I think they found themselves in a very tight spot here where just not enough farm on your Wraith King. There's not much you can really do about it, but sort of hope the team fights go in your favor. And it's looked promising. As long as the IO doesn't get captured, it seems quite promising. So we'll see.
Well, they trying to do something. I mean, Sinister 5 not even willing to contest the bottom tier 2. Kind of just giving it away for free. And 2-5 going to keep the pressure in the bot lane. It's already knocking at the doors here. Got a little bit of chip damage done onto this tier 3. And things are... they're not looking good. And taking a look at our graphs, sitting with 6,000 advantage. I'd have expected it to be actually a little bit more than that. Considering how things are going. But still... compared to our first and second game, absolutely two different teams that we're playing, that we were actually watching here.
Yeah, from game 1, this if you told me that this is how Bravado were going to be, how far they were going to be ahead, I wouldn't believe you. This is a pretty comfortable margin, but this time I think both these teams are quite equal in strength. Oh wow!
Oh, do they find RDK? They're trying to focus down Impact. Here comes the relocate. RDK is going to Battle Fury up and TP out. They take down the Warlock. The Rock potential is down. And it looks like they're not going to look for more in the mid lane. Soda, he's alone in the top lane. He's going to TP himself out of there. Going to put a bit of pressure here in the bot lane. He's got a nice creep wave pushing in top. could, it's going to cause a problem here for Sin 5. May actually force someone back to actually defend against us, and they actually do. They come in the 2 rotations. They're going to send Nabi back. He's the one that needs the farm. And bot lane, though, Soda, he's going to get spotted up by Gerald. Couldn't get the silence off in time, and he's going to make it out of there. And Mikasa, he now gets spotted out with those balls from the IO. And Sunstrike coming down. Is it going to do enough? Mikasa still alive for the moment. Pope comes out. 2-5 gets in there, throws out the mech, fighting under the wall, and Fearbender trying to right-click away. He finds Mikasa. 2-5, he's the next on the menu. And Gerald going to try and run away. He's going to survive. 4-star forward. Can he find Soda? And Soda fighting under the security of his tier 1 tower. Gerald, I don't know, my friend, but the Dota gods are smiling upon you today.
Yeah, and he has a friend in the IO who's been saving him.
It feels like we need to sing that song, like you got a friend in
Yeah.
Okay, if I could sing, I would sing it. A friend in. If I could sing it, I would. But I mean, it honestly feels like this IO has been in the right place at the right time. And at this point in time, Gerald doing an unbelievably good job in trying to scout it out, getting those big plays off. I mean, we need Wraith King, we need Nabi now to start contributing towards the rest of the team. I mean, he's got 1,800 in the bank. Okay, so he's going to go for the Blade Mail build. How do you feel about that?
I think it's the best answer you can have at this stage of the game. He needs to, it's the only way he's going to start dealing some damage out in these team fights. He can't really go for a big item. The Radiance is completely off the menu here. Anything else that you may consider, such as damage dealing items, Maelstrom, Deso, they're all sort of late now. So going for the Blade Mail is fine. He realizes there's a lot of damage output coming out from the opponents, and if he can sort of reflect that back onto them, that is probably the best output he can get. We must keep in mind now, they're more than likely transition him into their position 3 now. They're going to prioritize far more onto the Night Stalker where possible.
Right, well, the smoke does come out here from Sinister 5. Can they find something? RDK is in the pit. And there we go. They spot out RDK. But the rest of BVD's in the backlines. There comes the rock into Tornado. Maybe a little bit of a miscommunication. They could have been better. But it doesn't matter because they clean out the side of Sinister 5. They lose 3. 1 buyback from Traxian. And it is not going to be enough. It's going to be an easy rush for the side of BVD. Trying to keep the likes of Fearbender alive. And linking up with the Fatal Bonds on Rosh. Fearbender is taking a chunk of damage here.
That was a lot of damage coming out from that, in fact, and there's just nothing he can do now. He's just, actually he's in trouble.
X marks the spot, Astrals himself out, dodging quite a bit of spells there with 1 Astral, and he's going to be able to get himself out of there. But in the meantime, RDK does pick up the Aegis, and yeah, a little bit unfavorable team fight coming out there. Warlock has been on that. Fatal Bonds, absolutely correct.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I mean, we spoke about how important it is to control Roche, but Warlock is one of the best heroes to do so. On top of that, Kunkka is great at controlling Roche, but it's just too difficult to go inside there with him. And Darkseer, on top of it, just sets them up so nicely. So, Bravado in a good position here to look to take at least a tier 3 tower, and maybe more.
Well, Nabi trying to get towards that Blade Mail. The stun does come out onto RDK. He dodges it with a beautiful Manta. The Tornado comes down, EMP, Upheaval, doing its work. Going to try and zone out. I mean, look how slow Gerald is at the moment. Traxon can't even get anything done.
Wow.
They can't even stop the side of BVT. The Fatal Bonds come out. There's no rocket has been used. They do get down the tier 3. And BVT want to break high ground. They want to take it down. And now, the side of Sinister 5. Where do you go from this point? Or the bottom lane is pushing in, making its way, trying to break down the tier 3 as well. And, the smoke comes in. Someone's going to have to stay behind. Okay, quick balls popped here from Traxian, taking that down pretty easy. They want to try and make a rotation play here onto BVD, taking down the shrine. Can they close that gap? Can they get on top of them? The knight comes out. RDK going to spin it up. They're going to try and do something here. 2-5, a two-man vac wall. Boat comes in. Deafening Blast is there. EMP, it's enough. And Nabi doesn't have Reincarnate. He's down. The false promise is out onto Gerald, trying to keep him alive. He does eventually go down. Astral Imprisonment going to keep Fearbender or keep Repo alive for a second. Not going to be good enough. He goes down. Fearbender, the only one to walk away with his life. And he is stuck here in the bot lane, TPing back, trying to do what he can. and Soda will be TPing in as well, preventing any defense coming out here. Only the Oracle has buyback, none of the cores. And BVD knocking your front door.
Yeah, there we go. This should definitely be Rax. The only defender is really Fearbender, and he's going to have a tough time at that. He might even go down here. He got a good full stop off there, fortunately, before he got cold snapped up again. But lane of Rax, potentially 2, maybe even a 3rd. However, the respawn times are pretty low, so they could potentially turn this one around. Oh, good spin coming out from RDK there, avoiding Fearbender. But he's still got Aegis. He can still be doing damage on the high ground, no problem, especially if a good EMP comes out here, which it will. And whoa.
Oh, Deafening Blast trying to keep these guys here on the side of Sinister 5 on their toes. Upheaval being used out. Nabi, could he go down again? He has no more mana. This could be another death for him as well. He is down. Gerald in a little bit of trouble. Repo trying to get help out Draxian. It's not going to be enough. He goes down. And we're going to lose Fearbender on the back lines. He goes down as well. And now they are pushing up the high ground. They get the buyback from Fearbender. The question is it enough? Is it enough for Fearbender and Nightstalker to actually prevent the second lane of Rax? I don't think so. The EMP comes down, trying to get that blink off cooldown. Not going to work out. The X is there. They're going to find Gerald into a 2-man vac under Upheaval. They can't run away. Fearbender astrals himself out, and this is going to be another kill for BVD. X is there in case they can do it. And the boys from Sinister 5, they tap out. BVD take this series of this first event at the Mega 8, and we've got to say goodbye to the lads at Sinister 5. Wow.
Man, what a series. I mean, this is exactly what we were hoping to see going into 3 games. And yeah, I mean, these games took so long. We're going to have to probably jump into our next series as soon as possible. But, I mean, if there's anything I can add on to the back of that is that Sinister 5 still seem to be the dark horse. They're still a team that can bring down the Giants for its side that doesn't really compete in that high level. They definitely show a lot of potential in that aspect.
Yeah, well, we've got to jump into our next lobby really quickly, the XT Energy game. Before we do, let's take a quick look at the net worth graphs. I mean, Soda completely just accelerating and going ahead. Unfortunately, I mean, Nabi didn't have the kind of performance that we kind of hoped for and got limited out by the side of BVD. We really punished him.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a big issue for them, but I mean, it's something that they can learn from. You know, the draft, they got outdrafted really hard, and their game was pretty hard. So by all means, I think they can definitely learn something from this going forward into the tournaments and transition what they've learned here to benefit them as they go on.
Right, well, we wish BVD the best of luck as they progress through the Mega 8 tournament. Sinister 5, you guys did well. We hope to see you in the future. But myself, Jabba, and Scarpy, we're going to take a quick break as we jump into the next lobby for XD versus Energy. It is going to be the next series this evening.
Cheers.